So good to see everybody. And let's have a look here. We have got Gabriel, Yawen, we have David, Danette, Ransky, Marie, Mary, and it looks like from the comments, others who are joining us as well. So welcome to our October call. Lots of exciting things to share on this call, given that we have been super busy with things coming up to the last quarter of this year, which we are now in, which is pretty scary. And we are all planning things for 2019. So there's going to be some things on this call which I think will be very, very valuable. I'm going to start by sharing my screen because we have had a number of very interesting calls recently. You'll remember on our last call, I was talking about how everyone was warning about how the stock market was going to be going down, and that, so that was the large part of the last call, was like just sharing that everyone's just going to be aware of what happens in the future. The future is not that difficult to predict when you actually know there's patterns within things. So I thought it was kind of timely that I should post that. We just had the third largest points drop in the stock market in history, and it just happened yesterday. So this kind of stuff, comes around. Like the people who kind of look at the future, they're the ones that don't lose the money or actually make money, and the ones that are kind of constantly surprised by the present are the ones that end up losing everything. So just another reminder to always be having one eye on the future and planning for it, rather than just being constantly surprised by what's going on every day. So I thought I'd post that because there is going to be more coming down the line, and how you're designing your business for cash flow, and how you're designing your business to kind of weather a halving in the stock market or in your currency or in your property prices is the best thing to be doing right now, right? And then you'll come out of it even more profitable than when you actually go into it, right? So just keep an eye on this. I'm going to keep on, warning you guys on stuff that is going to be happening, just because it's really useful to know. While this kind of stuff is going on, there is something else which is going on. Oh, and by the way, there's some major companies which are about on the basis of bankruptcy. There was something about Sears going, about to go bankrupt as well. So all these old models are going bankrupt. The new models are growing really rapidly, right? It's kind of you don't have to wait for the winter to be over before the next spring comes. Right now, you've actually got springs in some industries growing at the same time as the winter's coming in. So one of the things that's really valuable to have a look at here is a core. We had two cores which are both really valuable to have a look at. This one here is the Sapphire Circle, which is always kind of interesting. And we went through on here a number of $10 million, $100 million opportunities that have happened even just in the last week, just in our field and the things that we're doing right now. So if you listen to this recording, once Darius puts it up there, you'll hear that and see how that has been working, right? We just had this call on Tuesday. But the other thing was interesting is that some of you have seen the video that I show Entrepreneur Fast Track about Masayoshi-san making $45 billion in 45 minutes with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And it's only 1 year later since that interview happened. And Saudi Arabia has just invested another $45 billion in SoftBank. So why would they do that so soon after the first $45 billion? And it's because after 1 year, Masayoshi-san has already 10 times that $45 billion. It's pretty phenomenal, right? It's one thing to 10 times $10,000, but to 10 times $45 billion. So basically now the fund is worth over $400 billion, right? So then, of course, you've got to ask the question, well, then how did he do that, right? And this is how he did it, right? There's actually a link in here which shows all of the purchases he's been making, invested $100 billion in Vision Fund. All of these companies have something in common. All of these companies that he's bought into Uber, Arm Holdings, NVIDIA, WeWork, Flipkart, GM Cruise, which is like Tesla for General Motors. What they all have in common is they are, I was showing with this on the partner call as well, they're like the third phase of the internet, right? If you think of the first phase of the internet being basically the static internet, right? The static internet was when you just went to a web page and saw what was on the web page, and that was pretty much it. And that was pretty much from 1995 to 2005. So it's 10 years. The second phase of the internet was for 10 years from 2005 to 2015, which was the social internet. And the difference of the static internet and the social internet was the static internet was all about basically just looking at pages without being able to do much about it, whereas the social internet was where everyone was actually entering their information, right? And then about 3 years ago, the third phase of the internet started, right? Which is basically, and if you think of those first two phases as all being about digital, so the end point of digital is screen time, right? That's the end point. Because the only way to actually interact with the likes of Facebook or Google is on your screen. That's the only way to do it. So all these digital companies, including all the social media companies, their whole goal is to get you on screen time for as much as possible, because the more time you're off the real world and on the virtual world, the more they make, right? The third phase is totally different. Third phase is not about trying to get you off the off world and put you onto the online world. The third phase is not C2B or B2B, it's O to O, right? So O to O stands for, and I'll just write this down, something is like, if you're all thinking in this way, it makes a huge difference to your company going forward. If you think, I've got the wrong one open here. Yeah, I'll just make this one October. So O to O is offline to online or online to offline. It's basically the interaction of the digital or the virtual and the real, okay? So Uber, for example, is basically not for you to just kind of like sit on your Uber, right? It's for you to just use Uber in a short period of possible to then enhance your online experience or offline experience of actually having a car, right? Or Airbnb isn't about going on Airbnb to be off the real world. It's actually to enhance your real world, to actually be able to go out there and actually stay in the place you want to stay in. So all of these, so all of these things, like whether it's WeWork, which is all about basically using online communities to then enable your offline community at a co-working space, whether it's Flipkart, which is like Amazon in India, which is all about kind of buying products that you're only using in the real world, whether GM Cruise, where it's actually using online to connect your cars together to be able to actually have smarter information about how your car's driving. All of these things are all the same. So Masayoshi-san, he knows this stuff. He's going out and investing the next spring, while all of the last companies are all crashing. When you talk about tech companies all going down right now, it's largely the tech companies that are digital companies that are doing that, right? So these waves, if you want to go make $10,000 or $100,000, go and basically go out there and just spot the ripples, right? If you want to go out and actually surf bigger waves and make like $1 million, you've got to go look at the waves. And if you want to actually go out and make billions, you have to go and invest in the tides, right? Which is like at the next level up. So I wanted to share that because it's always good to just keep one eye on the things in the future. We now have companies in the Sapphire Circle, which are $10 million plus, $100 million plus. They're all going in that direction now and it just so happens the ones that are bigger tend to accelerate faster as well. Because they're actually more on the curve than others. And especially when there's a sea change happening, which is what's happening at the moment. We haven't seen a time like this. The last two times this happened, one was obviously around 1997, 98, when there was that big shift first time around. The second time was in 95, 96, when all the big companies today, like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, all got started. And the third phase is now, right? We're right in it at the moment. So don't miss it, right? It's happening. And we're doing some pretty exciting things around all of that as we go as well. So I'm just going to write the third tide because I think it's super important. And, I've been saying this, but I'm going to keep on saying it because the ones who take action and really make sure that you're surfing this are going to be the ones that really get the results. The ones that kind of listen and go, that's interesting, but don't do anything about it. Well, you just see the whole tide go by, right? And it's not like the tide goes tomorrow, right? This is a tide that's going to last over the next couple of years as we grow. I just want to put one other thing up here as well, which is right now, because we've got we're launching our co-working spaces this next week, and this is Masayoshi-san now. What's he doing with his money? He's looking to take a majority stake in WeWork, right? Which is putting $20 billion in, which is pretty phenomenal, right? What he's looking to do at the moment. So we're in the right space doing the right thing, which is very exciting. Okay, so this is Sapphire Circle, and let me go back to our circle now so I can get into this call, and we are now going to jump into it. So there we go. All right, I put some of the other posts down here as well. So let's go into everyone's questions, and we are now going to start on the opposite. We have Bonita, who's joined us or is going to join us. Let's see if she's on yet, who we will come back to. Bonita's here. Hello, Bonita. Because she's just joining the call, I'll give her a chance to hear everyone else share first, and then we will come back to her. I'm going to come over to Yawen first, who has got highlight, signed a service contract with eWorld Trade for our 1-year service, including brand building, maintenance, social media sales, lead generation, working on loading 2 brands to their service, adult diaper product line, and sleeping energy alignment device pyramid. Pretty amazing that you've already got that going, right? That's really awesome. Doesn't look like you have any questions right now. So Yawen, I'm going to just come on you first of all, and just going to ask you to just share a bit about how you see that service contract helping to grow the business, and any other and any immediate questions that are coming up for you at the moment, just so I can log them at the moment as well. Hello.
Yeah. Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Yes. The program they offer is very good for me. That I need those people like social media. They will assign me one person and whole year and just doing social media, generating leads. And what I need is to find distributors in other worlds. So right now I'm trying to, because this time when I'm building a message, I want to have something rather than just products. And I don't know how to make it a greater purpose, to put into my adult diapers and this energy products, how to link these two together. Both will be marketed by us. So it's my question, actually, how to, right now is the time that we had to build this website and put in the message and content. So I had to give them the direction. So it's my questions.
Can you repeat that question? I didn't quite get it. You're saying, how do you combine it together?
Yes. So right now is the stage that building up the whole website, and I will be put down the adult diaper brand lines, and then the sleeping energy product line, the sleeping energy device. This is a new for me. And so right now is the time that we had to give the branding message. So I'm not quite sure our companies that marketing this too. Sleeping device is new. I'm trying to add it to our product line. So yeah, it's
I got it. Okay, so yeah,
together.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second. Like if you look at your current brands, so you obviously have Hoya, which is more the family company, right? Yeah.
No, this is the one of my own.
Yeah. Okay. So Hoya. Okay. So Hoya is so what's the family brand? What's that one called?
Oh, okay. So the family brand is everything coming out from Taiwan, and it does not do any export.
I'm asking the name. What's the name of it?
It doesn't have any product that export.
No, I'm asking for the brand name. Like, what's the name of the company?
The company name, Prime Fortune.
Prime Fortune. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then you also have created the Hoya for the wood, right?
Trade.
For the trade, right?
Yes.
And have you you obviously were working together with your partner who wanted to do the whole sleep therapy. What's her brand?
It's Power Mind.
Power Mind. And have you decided at the moment, out of all these different brands, which is the one which is going to be the name of your new company that is going to bring all this together?
The name of the company?
The name of
the company, I will be using Hoya.
You're going to use Hoya?
Yeah, I'm thinking just use, we are a trading company, so we can trade, we can sell Power Mind.
Okay. All right. And if someone was to come to you and say, what does Hoya do? Right? Like what's its mission? What's the point of it being there? Right? So for example, if you go to Google, right, and you say to Larry Page, like, what's the mission of Google, right? Then he's going to say the mission of Google is to connect the world. Everything we do is connecting the world. We do it through information. And whether it's Gmail or whether it's like the search engine or like it's just connecting all this information in a way that everyone can get to it, right? If you take something like Amazon, right, and you say to Jeff Bezos, what's the mission of Amazon, right? He'll say Amazon is the world's everything store. It's like for you to buy anything, anywhere at the cheapest price with the easiest delivery and the best customer service. That's what we do, right? It's like, it's so clear what he does. So if I was to ask you, well, what's the mission of Hoya? What would you say?
Okay. The product lines I have now is only three.
No. So if I ask Google, what is Google? What if I ask Larry Page, what is Google? Or if I asked Jeff Bezos, what is Amazon? Neither of them start by saying, this is my products. They start by saying, here's the mission of the company, right? So my question is, the mission of the company, regardless of the product. Yeah.
Yes. To bring you good products to improve your health and wellness. To bring you, we are a trading company that will bring you good products to improve your health and wellness.
Okay, good start, right? Good start. But you can see this is the starting point. This is the starting point of really making sure you've got a brand, right? And what it is to do something with a brand. And on this call, we'll fine tune it as to what it could look like, right? So that you can say, okay, now I understand what that is. And it's the same for everyone on the call as well. The moment you start actually wanting to say, how do I partner with different people? It's all going to come down, first of all, to the mission of the company, right? What we call the enterprise promise if you meet the masters. Okay, so I'll come back to you, Yawen, but I've got your question. That's awesome.
Okay.
Fabulous. All right, let's come over, and I'm just going to write this thing down here. Brand. Awesome. Okay. So let's come next. We are going to continue on our journey, and we are going to come up to, we have here, let's see, we've got Mary and David, and the highlight 2 team members were for the first time. David and I attended with the full team, or 2 team meetings, sorry, focus on Genius test results, values, passion, and purpose of every team member, discussion on enterprise values, mission, brand, trying to get clarity and buy-in with the culture. That's interesting. Looking forward to hearing about that. And top questions, number 1, based on the book Rocket Fuel. David is the visionary, Mary's the integrator, but Mary is the one that has the expertise in our industry. How do we make this work? And also number 2, how do we support our staff to overcome their negative mindset about selling to customers? Okay. So this is great. These are great green level questions, right? So, well, Mary, let me ask you, like, first of all, just the experience of getting with the team. How did it go? How did that go?
Look, it was fantastic, actually. The whole 3C things has been really quite revolutionary for us. And as you probably may or may not know, we're starting with a new team. After 5 or 6 years of a pretty stable team, I'm basically starting again from scratch. So I now have a team of 5 or 6 new people, another one coming on next week. And so we're developing that beautiful culture from scratch again, which is fantastic because it means that we can develop it under shared values and things that are really important for us. You notice who's on board and who's not, and these are the kind of things that are, you're noticing the incongruency in every phase of the business, actually, and it's tricky working with those that aren't quite on board. And one of those things is really, what's really standing out is actually selling. We are a retail health food store. I mean, we also have naturopaths, and naturopaths are working in the retail side. But basically, we are selling, and we sell very ethically, and we believe we sell wonderful health solutions, and we're giving great value, but they're coming from a very different mindset, and it's challenging.
What has been your, are you wanting them, because you're obviously at the moment the retail store, then you've got the online side as well. Are you wanting them to be, engaging more with customers coming in, getting them to be buying more of the things that they need, things like that? Or what's the way you're encouraging them to sell at the moment that they're resisting to?
We actually haven't got the online side just yet. That's one of our next steps. So at the moment, what we do have, the model is that all our staff are either in their 3rd, 4th year of their naturopathy degree, or they're qualified naturopaths, and they come, and because of that, they come from that. They don't have a lot of income because they're students. And so, the way that we do sell, I suppose, to our customers, for lack of a better word, is to give them a complete solution. So we're addressing symptoms, obviously. They're coming in with, they've got health issues. So they're coming in with symptoms, but we're also looking at underlying causes as well. And, and that's our whole professional model. So I need staff that know what they are looking for and know what to do. But they're also these type of people that they want to save the world, and they don't understand the exchange of value. And it might be, might be they've got hang-ups about money, or they don't have much money and they don't understand the value exchange. So for example, with one of them, it was interesting. I was talking about Joe Formosa and her programs and how much she spends, and they just think it's outrageous and a rip-off type that do you know what I mean? And I'm like, whoa. So it's a very deep level challenges, and I am challenging that mindset in a supportive way, but basically, if you're not selling.
If you have one person who is performing at double the level of the other person, like at the moment, some people, I guess, they're just showing up, they're just getting a base salary for just being there in the store, right?
Yes.
Yeah? And how much is someone like that earning at the moment, like for your kind of average person coming in, just standing around and helping where needed?
So they're on nearly $30 an hour.
Okay. And then let's take someone who's actually figured out what you're saying and goes, oh, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna like really engage before the customers coming in and find out what the challenge is and explain to them what the best way is to go forward. Let's imagine this. And I'm guessing you probably don't have anyone like that right now that's in there, but let's imagine you did. If you had someone like that in there, what do you have how do you compensate that person different? What would they be earning different from $30 an hour if they were that kind of person?
Well, because I haven't thought about that because I've never had anyone like that.
It's actually, but that's the point, right? I mean, like at the end of the day, if there's no actual compensation which may allow that rewards that behavior, the behavior will never show up because no one's benefit,
It's David here. That's not quite true, Mary, because Mary incentivizes her naturopaths. They get a percentage of sales. So there is a system in place that's just for the naturopaths, not the shop floor staff.
Okay. But the naturopaths aren't on the shop floor, right? They're the ones going out there and meeting people.
But you know what's really... Oh, sorry. Okay. You know what's really... Oh, go on.
I was just going to say that, like, on that point on the naturopaths, like, do you have any naturopaths who actually are doing that job well, or are they also not doing it well?
Well, that was the point I was going to say. The naturopaths are happy to, they earn according to who they're seeing, obviously. And, they're happy just to earn less. They're not, they don't tend to be interested in making a lot of money. And the ones that are interested, they're out doing their own thing. Yeah.
Yep. We have had exactly the same challenge in training organizations. Lots of coaches and trainers are in the same situation. And we figured something out many years ago, which is it's a whole lot easier to teach a salesperson how to coach than it is to teach a coach how to sell. So our coaches, people like Danny, people like Karen, they just naturally sell, right? But we've actually taught them how to add really great value. And so as a result, they actually are able to coach and sell, right? Whereas if you try and get a coach and try and teach them how to sell, that's actually really difficult because their mindset's probably coming from a whole different place in the first place, unless the coach is already successful. The coach is successful financially, they understand it, that you have to exchange value. Right? The vast majority of coaches are just like the vast majority of wellness practitioners. They're actually broke. They've got no money. And it's because they've got this mindset block and they think, well, my way to go. I mean, like, today the coach is the equivalent of the, like 19th century carer, right? Like someone who just says, I don't want to make any money at all. I'm just going to basically be there, just loving people. And the challenge with that is, it's not a challenge. It just means someone like that can never scale what they're doing because they can only ever just be helping the people they can help, because their mindset is such that it's stopping them from thinking through until someone changes that mindset, right? So a large part of this is how you select your team in the first place. So you're not going out and pre-selecting people that already are the wrong people to actually be asking to go out there and actually generate more value in the first place. And then have a compensation scheme which actually allows you to then actually encourage them. Because the moment you have one or two people that you can point to and say, that's the model, others will go, that's not me, I'm not going to do that, and they won't even join. Or others will go, I also want to do that, that's exactly me, and I'll join. And so Jo's surrounding herself with people that are doers, that are actually out there adding huge value. And she just got contacted by, the head of like the largest Ayurveda organization in India, who was like, how are you getting these results? Like, we don't have anyone in our entire community that's actually doing that. Can you come and speak for us? Can you come and tell other people how you're doing it so they get that it's possible to actually, in the modern world, take Ayurveda and go out and get lots of people engaged in it? She's like, sure, I can do that, right? So the success will breed success. But you got to start by saying who's that first person. And in my case, I became the first person. I said, well, I'll show people how to do it, and then my team will see how to do it. And I don't have to do that anymore because now they're doing it, right? But that whole element of like, what John C. Maxwell says, which he says, delegation is like, I do, you watch, you do, I watch, you do, right? It's like that whole thing of like, now you got a second person doing it, a third person doing it, but you've got to have that first example first so that people know what it is you're talking about in the first place, as opposed to a theory of what it looks like with no one actually doing it, and then no one's going to go do it, right? Really important. But I'll come into more than that, because there's another point you made, which is the whole thing about someone looking at someone like a Joe Formosa and say, well, that's wrong, or that's cheating, or that's evil, or that person's a fat cat, or is a 1%. That's all red level thinking, right? That's victim thinking, right? It's like infrared thinking. So someone who's at that level will never even try and be that person, because they've already found reasons why they can't be successful, because the world's unfair, because the government's against them. All these other things that show up are all infrared thinking, and nothing's going to change that conversation with them until they themselves change. right? So never get stuck in talking with people like that, and never hire people like that. And you can shift that by the kind of people you bring on board, right? So we'll talk more about that in terms of how you do that. And it doesn't mean you have to get the people you've got to leave. It just means there's a different way to handle those people without, knocking your head against a brick wall with them,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. All right, we'll get into more of that, but that's great. Okay, so we've got 2 green level questions already, which is great. Let's come over next to Danette here, who has highlight the hard conversation the day after our last call may turn into a new teammate that can help drive a campaign. Another conversation may result in a new teammate, potential for flow consultant running the people side of the growing business. And also a big issue with Google Drive in the process of being fixed. Lots of cleanup to do. Okay, all right. Let's have a look here at the big questions. Oh, lots of big questions here. Okay, so vision. A business to help entrepreneurs leverage through people or processes. The people side, based on utilizing profile and processes for hiring and developing team, and the processes side would come from my mechanic system strengths. So number 1, given the vision, where should I focus the time? I'm not working for clients so that I not only create revenue beyond my 2 clients, but also I'm laying the groundwork for building a business with recurring revenue, specifically for Q4 and Q1. Given that I have over 80 profiles and participating in the book with Marie, potentially hosting Roger in February, I think I would be wise to do promotion plans where I could sell the profiles debriefs while creating and delivering a campaign to introduce Roger, etc., to my local community, and potentially creating the framework for a system-based product for automating and personalizing customer service and developing a mastermind package. Okay, cool. Number 2, if that seems like a fit, I'd obviously need help because that's a lot to do in my 1.5 days of not working for my clients. What would you recommend I attract to help? Number 3, if it's a fit, my question is how do I attract the first 10 customers to provide my automated and personalized customer care products? Having problem connecting dots using the impact metrics for getting in front of 10,000 people, and where you can add your company to Genius U and things like that, but I yet to really comprehend how to do it to grow a business. Okay, so good questions, right? So this is all about knowing now the vision. So that's what we were talking earlier with Yawen about. It's like you're clear on where you want to go. And then from there, turn that into what your brand is, right? Like, what does that mean for your brand? And then you get to yellow level 2, going from identify identity to now master market, which is about the product range. So let's talk for a moment about this from the branding point of view, Danette. I'd love to hear, have you gone out and started speaking to any of your customers about the fact that this is what you're going to be offering now, or this is the direction you're going in, or is that still to come?
I think it's still to come. Like in my struggle, I said, I think a lot of this is happening because I'm really changing direction. I used to be one of those coaches you were talking about. That did coaching and training and executive coaching, customer service training, whatever, and I'm like goosebumping and I'm a little bit nauseous because I know I'm on a journey to create. I am, but I'm showing up anyway. I know I'm in the journey of transitioning to this, like, I want to play at having a business and having clients to, I want to have a business with customers and a bigger picture. And all of it came from, going to all of your events and stuff. The part I haven't been able to figure out is how to transition to, like, my 2 clients. I think I told you before that I'm doing automated, lead magnet, customer service, email setup, all that kind of stuff. And I'm helping one write a book, and I'm helping, so I'm doing all that with them too, just because they asked me. I didn't know I had a marketing business, right? I was coaching or training or something. So with if you read my struggle thing, I feel like I'm playing Twister. I've got 1 foot in red, 1 foot in yellow, right hand in green, not in green. I don't know. And I think it's because I'm going through that transition and I don't have that branding. So
yeah, well, it's obviously the first point, because the moment first thing you got to move over is your center of gravity from the brand of who you were to the brand of where you're going. Right? That's what you do on Twister as well, right? Like, if you want to basically take your hand off like the left square, like the left color, you better make sure your center of gravity is on your right foot, right? Like, so you can shift and that's what identity is. Identity, right? It's like it's putting a dent. It's like making a stand. It's like that's where your center of gravity is. So your center of gravity is still too much on your old identity, not enough on your new identity. Where every day you're waking up into your new identity and saying, "Oh, well, this is who I am. Why am I doing that? Shouldn't be doing that anymore." Right. And the only way that happens is every time you get onto your page, every time you go to LinkedIn, like, you see your new identity because you've already put it up there. So you haven't done that yet. You're still kind of like saying, that's who I will be. Until you change your business card, until you change the stuff, so you say, this is who I'm going to be. Right. And you become that person now. You're constantly still the person you were, and you're still living the life that you had, not the life that you are stepping into, right? So it's definitely one step, right? So it's an energetic shift you have to get, which is why I'm, asking you, what's your actual brand? Because that's what you're stepping into each day. You've got to shift it to something different, which isn't just the old thing, or if nothing else changes, right? So if you change your center of gravity to the new thing and say every day you wake up into that, then the thing is, well, the first thing you need is your product range. Where's the product range? Like what is the product brand that links off your personal brand? So I'm going to come to that now. Like, you're talking about these ideas of, hey, okay, so I've got what dynamics, I could do on a fast track, but then I'm going to invite people into my thing. So let's talk about the my thing, right? You're saying here it could be something which is around, 10 customers coming in and, doing a mastermind, using GEM. It could be something doing personalized customer service. So let's just talk about what you would say those would be, right? Let's imagine that we're all here as your customer. We've all taken the Wealth Dynamics test. You have given us all a bit of a debrief where we go, oh, this is really cool. This can really help my business. And we've all come onto this call for you to give us a few minutes to explain, now that we want to do more with you, what you're going to offer us. So what would you say to us?
Oh, great. Thank you. By the way, thank you. In all things, give thanks. So I would, the part of me that is sort of the big picture person says I would do some kind of like questioning to see where your needs are, because to me, the answer could be people, like hiring the right people, or it could be leveraging through systems. And so I would want to find out what your real need was first before I offered something. So this is what you're offering. No, okay. So you're offering a session to find out what our needs are. Is this like a workshop? Is this like a 1 hour session? What do we get? It feels like a consultation because it's very personal and customized.
Okay. So we go, okay, we're going to get a consultation. The end result of the consultation is that we're going to be able to get a real clear picture from you as to what you're going to do to help us. But do we get any value ourselves out of the consultation? Or are we just like filling out a questionnaire? Like what, for us, what's the payoff of actually just giving you some of our time to have a consultation?
I feel like I would give you a roadmap of where you could go, what you need to do first, second, next kind of thing. Awesome. And then say, and these are the parts I can help you with. And if there are parts I can't, I could refer out.
Great. Okay. So this is like an hour consultation, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. How
much is it
going to cost?
If they maybe filled out a little bit of an audit or something beforehand.
Okay. All right. So we get the audit. We do the consultation. What's it called? Do you have a name for it?
Pardon?
Do you have a name for it?
No, I don't. I can make something up really fast.
You can make something up. You can. Okay. So you're going to put a name to it. Right? Until you put a name to it, it never becomes an asset, right? And it just becomes a thing. It just becomes your time. The moment it has a name to it, like, we call it the Wealth Dynamics debrief, right? It's got a name. Right, and it costs $300, and people can discount it. They can do it for free, but people go, "Oh, it's a product," right? So the moment you product something, you can replicate it, right? And then from here, let's imagine we're now all on a call, and we've all done the consultation, and we all said, "This is super awesome." At the end of it, you said, "Look, if you got real value from that consultation, and now that you know that what I do and how I can help you as well, come on a call." Where I'm just going to have everyone else who already sees the value of the consultation as well, and I'm going to tell you what the next step is, right? So here we are. We've gone through the consultation. You found out what our needs are. And now you get to tell us what's the next thing we can do with you. So what would that be?
Well, if you needed to build a team, I would have my teammate right here help you use profiles and hire the right team. If you needed to build a system to help retain the customers that you work so hard to get, then I could help you build a customer service care system that includes a profitable promotion.
Great. Okay. Fabulous. And is this like a 3 week, 6 week, 3 month, 6 month, 12-month thing?
The customer service automation. I don't know. Am I making this up as I go? Because I haven't.
Actually, here's the thing, right? Like, and I'll say this for everyone as well. Making something up is better than thinking of nothing.
Yes.
Right? Because the moment you make something up, then you can go, do I actually believe in that or not? Right. The moment you for everyone here, like the fundamental key thing is just the action of thought. The action of thought leads to the thought of action. If you have no action of thought, there's no thought of action, right? It's kind of like, well, I can't even think about that, so I don't even know. And then there's no even way to get to action. And thought of action is not about just like, well, what am I acting on? It's when am I going to act, right? And sometimes the action is the thought itself. It's giving yourself a deadline for that thought. So it's like, okay, I'm going to present to my team or to the customer I'm going to meet. I've got a meeting with the customer on Friday, right? It's Thursday today. I set the meeting on Monday. I said, on Friday, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to explain to you how I can help you. Now you've got yourself a thought, which is like, tomorrow I got to explain to the customer what I'm going to be doing. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing. Guess what? I've got 24 hours to figure it out. You figure it out. You go to them with something, saying, here's what I think would work. What would work for you? And they're going, oh, I like that one. I don't like that one so much. That sounds a bit expensive. Would it be better for me to start here? And that leads to a solution you didn't even know before you got in the meeting. But the fact that you said, when I get out of the meeting, I'm going to have exactly what's right for them. And that's the action. And then from that, you actually go in there and say, that's the goal. And then you end up with something which is the right thing. This is how all co-creation happens, is by the intention of creation in the first place, as opposed to, well, I won't even call the customer because I have no idea what I'm going to give them. And at the end of the week, you still haven't spoken to the customer. You still have no product. You still have no movement. And it's like, well, that's another week gone, right? So it's about putting yourself in situations where you have to decide. And I think too many times, especially at infrared red level, it's like, I'm too scared to even decide. So I wouldn't take any action just in case I take the wrong action, without realizing all learning comes from doing. So until you actually choose to do, you're never going to get the insights or the clarity in the first place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So even something like this, when Yawen says, I want to call Hoya, right? It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. The fact that she's given her best thinking, right. I can now push against that and I can say, well, what about this? What about that? And she go, oh, that makes sense. But she goes, I have no idea what to call it. I can't even start, right? So always remember the difference of, and this is about energies, right? If you're in water spirit energy, you have pure possibility, but you also have zero form. Like water has no form. So as long as you're constantly in water, which is that anything's possible, nothing ever happens, right? The moment from that water, you sprinkle a bit of the water down, which gives you now base for you to grow something, and then you throw 100 seeds down, right? You don't say, I'm going to throw a single seed down because it may be a seed that doesn't grow. So you end up throwing no seeds down. You throw 100 down. Right? And when you throw 100 down, you don't just kind of then say, I hope I get 100 trees. You say, I only need one tree, right? So I'm just going to see what grows. And maybe out of 100, only 2 grow. Guess what? You've got two trees now, right? You don't care about the other 98, but if you hadn't physically thrown all of them down just to see what sticks, you never could have actually got to see the one that grows in the first place. When you go and see a customer, you don't know what they're going to buy. But if you go in with the seeds, they'll pick the one that they want to grow, and that's where the flow starts. Then you have wood, right? And then you've got something which is a physical thing. And once you've got that physical thing, then you can nurture that, then you can grow it and choose as it's growing, is this what I want to focus my time on, or is it going to be something different? But at least you've got flow happening now. Right? Flow of water only happens when it actually connects to wood and actually turns into something that grows, right? And until then, there's nothing physical, which means you can't even grow something in the first place. Does that make sense?
Totally. Thank you.
So, so you can keep thinking, just like Yawen's thinking, about what these things are, and you could say, I'm going to make a decision by the end of this call. I'm going to already have a framework for what my product range will look like, my best thinking. And at the same time, I'm already going to call a couple of customers and say, hey, I'd love to meet up with you because I'm doing some really exciting things in January. And I already want to kind of get you to be the first that knows what I'm doing and get your feedback, as well as basically see how I can help you in 2019, right? And they're going to say yes to the call, right? And then you're going to have that ability to then go in, throw the seeds down and see what sticks. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah. But it's going to, So, and for everyone here, it is about the sequential thing, about putting your center of gravity onto your identity first, which is yellow level 1. Then you're then growing the products, which is yellow level 2. Then you turn those products into money, which is yellow level 3. And it's always the same. It's like, that's how you grow a tree, right? You always start in that place. And yellow is always about the pot plant, right? You haven't got the garden yet. You've just got the pot plant, and you're choosing, the pot plant is your why. So the bigger your purpose, the bigger your pot plant, the more you can grow. Right? But you don't make the pot plant the size of the garden, or else nothing's going to grow, right? You still got to start with something that's contained. And then from there, you then say, where am I going to repot that? And you almost always repot it not into a garden, which is your desert. You repot it into someone else's garden, right? Where you're taking your brand, your ideas, and then you go work with Wealth Dynamics, work with Joe Famoso, work with someone who's got a garden already. It's like if you talk what you were just hearing earlier with Mary and David. Mary and David have a garden, but they're kind of like taking little weeds and trying to kind of make them grow in their garden. And it's like, you don't want the weeds, right? Like, go find the actual plants you want to nurture, get those superstars, bring them in. They're going to be wanting to work with you because they're out looking for companies that are more meaningful, that actually allow them to get compensated for their skill set while they actually are helping people in their wellness. And now you're selecting those people to come and work with you as well. Like we do the same with Entrepreneurs Institute. Out of every 100 people that want to come work with us, we only choose 1 or 2, right? But they're the ones that we know we can nurture and grow, and everyone else can go out and do their own thing. But we don't want to kind of just bring them on board where then we have to kind of like tend the weeds, right? So really super important as you're going through this, that the more you're clear on what you're doing, the more selective you become. The more selective you become, the higher quality shows up. Quantity always shows up with quality, but your goal is not to get excited about the quantity. The goal is to basically make sure you can extract the quality from it, right? So, okay, I'm going to continue because I know this is all building to a bit of a theme. And I've got like the more specifics on the product range, right? So I'm just going to write that down as well. And by the way, when you are doing a promotion plan and you're not clear about your product range, that doesn't stop you from starting. You can still start, because at the end of the day, the one thing you're focusing on is not what is the product I'm selling. The one thing you're focusing on is what is the problem I'm solving. Because if you can go meet someone and they get really excited about the fact you're going to solve their problem, they'll help you with the product. They'll tell you what they need. You say, we're going to do a 3-month program. It's like, well, that's not going to be enough for me. Could you do it more like a year? It's like, yeah, we can do that too. Right? And so you're actually designing the product through your first 10 customers, where they're telling you what they actually really need, and you're not trying to guess it without having spoken to them, right? So that's why we say, 10 is different from 100. Once you got the 10, you know what you need to productize, what you need to customize, right? Customize is what you can't scale because you're doing it individually for each person. Productize is what you can scale because you turn it into a product that then can grow, right? And then you got to see the difference of the two. So I'll give you an example of that. When we do a debrief, we know that the debrief goes beyond the what dynamic test. What dynamic test is 100% productized. It's just a product. All you get is a product. The debrief is customized because you get the product with the actual mentoring, which is a different thing. But then you say, well, then someone needs to do that, right? So we'll say, right, we've got our own GIs that can do that job and can do that debrief. Well, that's scalable to a certain level because we can train them up to do it. But now we say, well, if in order to get someone to do the customizable part that requires training, can we productize the training? Yes, we can. We can turn it into flow consultant certification. That becomes a product, which then allows us to go out and have thousands of flow consultants who are all customizing, but we have standardized the customizing, right? So there's always a way to scale. You can't ever scale by customizing, but you can scale. So Amazon does this using artificial intelligence, is that they scale the customizing. And so, but you got to know what part you're trying to customize, which is personal to each person. What part is the productized part, which is the thing you're actually, able to keep on scaling on its own. And your whole growth is about those two things. And if you're going, I have nothing that's productized, well, then it's just your own time. And if you haven't actually even shown people how to customize the way you're customizing, it'll always just be your time, right? So really, this is like how you turn time into team by this concept of productizing and customizing together, which is like super duper important, right? Let's go to I'm kind of mixing this call up a little bit. I'm kind of doing part mentoring, part debriefs at the same time. And then I'll kind of bring these pieces together as we go forward. So we've got Renske next, who's got highlight getting the Instagram, Facebook, and retail site up and running. Baby steps, finalizing contract with China distributor, growing our team to 5 in Australia. That's all super cool. Questions, any helpful suggestions regarding the pain of moving from yellow to green are welcome. Also, as a product company, what are some suggestions to avoid issues to do with stock market going down, effects that has on our customers? Really good question, right? So Renske, well, my first question to you is, are you using a different site? Where would I find those links at the moment? Hi, Renske, how are you doing? Well, we can't hear you at the moment. Do you want to unmute there? Bottom left. So the site I have for you at the moment, well, obviously there's Color of Australia site, but I've got the Papoose Toy site. So I'm guessing that's the one that you've been revamping. Is that right?
Papoose Toy is the retail. We still have Colors of Australia as our wholesale site because it's really two different parts of the business.
Yeah. So the one you're talking about, where you're actually getting the, like Instagram and so on, that's the Papoose Toys one, right?
Correct. That's the brand of the product.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. And how's it going in terms of building community right now? Like, are you on, like when we're just talking with Danette in terms of getting out people saying, here's what I'm up to, here's what I'm doing now. Is that something which has started yet?
Well, on Instagram, I mean, we've only just started like 10 days ago. We've got about 130 people on there. It goes up and down a little bit, I guess. We've got a staff member starting next week, actually, to work on social media. It's learning who's on social media as well, like whether these people are actually my customers or not. Because my own customers are on there and they're selling to their customers. So for me, it's a little bit clicking whether that's the right way to go. But I want people to know more people to know about Papoose Toys. So, and of course, it's worldwide. So it does probably help, I guess. I'm still a little bit confused about whether that's the right way to go for us. But I do want to build community so that we can. Next year, the plan is to start a new business, which I just don't have time for at the moment because we are growing so much in the current business, right? Team and everything that's happening. So I don't know if I'm answering a question that you asked me or if I'm just babbling here, but basically, bringing the new team members on board and getting them to do their job and understanding, what they're doing in the business. I'm really busy at work as well, just dealing with my own customers and what I have to do with them, and that's all for next year as well. So, yeah, I'm just a bit. I feel like my hands are tied behind my back, and I can't really move at the moment.
Let me ask you about team then. Obviously, the majority of your team are all working really on the Colors of Australia because that's like where you're generating cash flow at the moment, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so if you were to take just Papoose Toys and the vision of having a platform of ethical toys, and environmental toys around the world, and you've been busy on that, are you using just the same team at Colors of Australia or do you have anyone focused just at Papoose Toys?
It's when you say Papoose Toys, you mean the retail side, I guess, because the product is the same.
The product's the same, but the concept of the platform and what you're doing in terms of being able to grow it is different, right? Because, the whole conversation we had around the model of actually having something which is not just about Australia, but which is actually something that people all around the world can actually be also putting their own products into, that kind of thing. Yeah, so you've got on there, you've got your Papoose Toys open, you've got educational games, you've got books, you've got food, you've got dolls, you've got animals, you've got all these different things. But at this point, it's just the starting point of putting these things in there. So who's looking after Papoose Toys separate from Colors of Australia? Or are they all just mixed up at the moment in the team?
They're kind of still mixed up, I guess. Because we've only just launched the Papoose retail site. Sure. And, Colors of Australia, which basically sells Papoose wholesale around the world already, it's really busy. We're getting huge orders in. And I do a lot of work personally with customers, large companies that we work with overseas that are ready for their catalogs for 2019. Right. So that's a lot of my time. So then I've got a new person starting next week who will start working on Papoose Toys, specifically on the retail side.
Got it. Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, I'll give you some thoughts around how you're designing that, but it's really good to hear that there's that growth. If you were to say the difference in your monthly revenues now today compared to what they were in January, what was your target and what are you achieving now? Like in January, what was the revenues of Colors of Australia?
Oh dear.
I don't know.
You want to say I'm a naughty girl? I have no idea, to be honest.
Roughly. Well, okay. Then in terms of, do you know what they are now or are you just not looking at your financials?
I'm actually not looking at that. We're just running really hard to fulfill orders and to deal with all the fires that jump up every day that we have to deal with.
Okay.
I know that the orders are coming faster and they're bigger, but specifically right now I can't. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you.
Okay, give us a ballpark. You see how much money flows through the bank account, right? So ballpark, what are we talking in terms of month by month? What's happening at the moment? Are we talking 10,000, 100,000, million, roughly?
We're probably looking at about, 180 to 250,000, something like that.
Okay. So let's call it 200,000, and that's monthly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the moment, what are your terms on things like stock? Are you having to basically buy stock up first and pay for it first, or do you get 3-6 months and get the money in first?
Well, some suppliers I have to pay up front, and my main suppliers I pay as I go kind of thing.
So you're paying for the stock before you're getting paid by your customer?
I would say about 70% of the time, yes. And some people are paying up front, like export customers. We try and make them pay up front. Okay. Nobody wants to pay up front, though. They all want to pay after.
So I'm going to share with you again, because this all comes down to your second question, which is what do you do with what goes on in the stock market and so on? And it's everything to do with how you're managing your cash, right? Which at the moment you're not really doing, because you're not really clear how much you've got in stock, how much, and especially with a product-based business, it's the biggest killer, is that the stock thing that will stop you from expanding is you haven't worked out your stock strategy yet, right? So if you go to someone like Amazon, everything Amazon did was to basically minimize their stock that they had at any one time. And the way they did that was find really smart ways that they could actually like increase the stock turnover so quickly. So in terms of how many days that stock actually even shows up, they got down to just days. So everything was just in time. And then they went one step further and they said, we're not even going to be the ones that own the stock. All the people that bring the product in, that's their problem, right? We're just going to be the ones that actually just deliver on the shipping. And that's why they're so profitable and why they got so much cash, right? Whereas if they actually had to buy the stock, putting it into their stock and then sell it out, that's a really bad model. They never could have grown, right? Because they always would have run out of money. With, you know, the likes of like what Mammoth is doing as well, right? Like the same thing. It's like the biggest challenge they'll have is stock as they grow. You just can't grow further, because if you know to make the next $1 million, you need to first of all have like 800,000 to buy the stock to then make the million, right? Then you always get stuck, right? So there's always ways around it, and it's about how you do that in the right way. That I'm going to walk through some strategies you can put in place. Okay, cool. Lee, let's continue here. I'm going to come over next. We are going to come up to Marie and Kimberly here, who have got highlight. The next one of the new authors of the book and celebrating 2 years of becoming a flow consultant. Glorious weekend in September 2016. That was 2 years ago. Just had a debrief over the phone with Danny, and he said if I could get to London in 2 weeks, in Seattle at the time, he could give me a free ticket to the Exponential Entrepreneur. I said, Danny, if it's fun and easy, you'll see me there. And then you've got numbers here for the return flight, Airbnb. And the rest is history. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Thanks for, that's what happened, right? Thanks for that amazing eye-opening weekend. And look, I now have a podcast while using my Flow consultancy, now adding Health Dynamics certification as a platform to launch the success of the magical land of awesome podcast. And the dream of becoming a best-selling author is happening with partnership created through Genius U with Genius U Mentor. So lots of cool stuff happening. There's some links here as well. So I'm just going to open them up. So we've got them here too. And let's come over next to the questions, which are, some submissions here. Okay. Using Impact Meter from a level 2 to level 3 business. What is the best and most sacred, playful Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Genius U strategy to get 5 more authors using post, podcast link, post, etc., etc. So here's the other one. Also, please check one sheet submission. What could make it more compelling? And also using the word game as a premise, how to best partner with B1G1 for the book. Okay, cool. Well, Marie, let me just ask you, it's been like 2 years. How does it feel right now? Just like the progress that you've been making.
You know, I think it's because for 40 some years of my life, 35 years of my life, that I was an orange level worker and didn't think there was anything beyond that. And these last 2 years have been this total consciousness level of going from orange to not even knowing that there was anything beyond that. And it has literally, and you have been with many of the struggles of the, what is it to actually be yellow? But to see this is the really in the last month, so 2 years into this, that I'm finally feeling like I have a voice. When I got contacted from someone in the Philippines saying that they heard my podcast, it kind of freaked me out. Like, I feel like now I have a voice that is saying something, and really the beautiful things that they were saying back to me was like, okay, finally I feel like what a difference I can make at a yellow level this is first. This is a first, and I didn't realize it was a first until it was a first.
Got it. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. And by the way, it doesn't stop there, right? It's like the revelations keep on going. And there's been many people that have gone through that journey, and then after 2 years and after 3 years, after 4 years, it starts accelerating, right? Because you're always building on the knowledge you've already got. Like there'll be things I'm saying on this call, I've heard that before, but then you're hearing it in a different way now, right? You're seeing it in a different way, and you go, oh, that applies to me now in a way I can actually use. And so it's about like putting the building blocks in place, and then the other pieces go in place as well. I mean, there's so many analogies of how basically it takes over half of the time in construction on a house just to build the foundations. Like you don't see any of it, right? And then it's only in the second half that suddenly the whole thing shows up, right? So building a business is exactly the same, or building your own identity is exactly the same. It might you feel that nothing really is happening even though you're doing all the pieces, and then it all just comes together, right? Whereas a lot of people just never start. They go, well, until I get it all, I'm not going to do anything. And then they wonder why they never get the house. So that's really cool. I'm going to ask you a question around the time frame of the book right now, because I know it's been the project's been going for a long time. And I know one of the questions I asked you before also was, at what point do you get to break even to move it forward? So I know you're looking for 5 more people right now, but what's your current time frame of when you're going to say, right, enough is enough, I'm now moving into production?
So what's really cool is after having a conversation with Danette, because it is likely that you're coming to the Pacific Northwest in February, that I thought, and I was talking to Ruby about, hey, what about launching it, like having, it launch, so we have to backtrack. So this fourth quarter is done. I would love by the end of this month to have everything buttoned up so that we can get on to the ghostwriting. We're already into the promotion plan, bonuses, all the other bonuses going on. This month, it's like done. We're into it. And February, it would be so lovely to launch the book at the workshop. If that all happens and the workshop happens in the Tri-Cities, then that would be really cool.
Got it. Okay. All right. And how many do you have at the moment?
We have 17.
Okay. All right. And have you actually done all the stories already, or you're still collecting them?
It is, because that is another part. That's what Ruby's and her team is doing. So I think they're like 5 stories in of people sharing their the back and forth with the drafts and the ghostwriting.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. And have you worked out what the profitability is at the moment? And is Ruby profitable in this now as well?
Yeah, because we wanted around 35 to 40. So we are actually doing a rework right now on what is our break even. So,
okay. All right. I got it. Okay, cool. All right, Marie, I'm going to come back to you on all of that, and we will go further.
And I really want to thank you, Roger. Just really, this last 2 years, all the crazy roller coaster. Just thank you. Thank you for being on the roller coaster with me.
Pleasure. Well, you're sounding like it's all over. It's just starting. You haven't even got to the top of that first bit where the roller coaster kind of like gets, and then, you're not even there yet.
Oh, thank you for that. That's my highlight.
When you go to Disneyland and when you're standing in the queue, because the queues are so long, that there's all these kind of like little shows that happen. I was with my kids once at Disneyland, and we went through that, and then we got to the front, and then there was the ride. And when we got to the front of the ride, one of my daughters was like, "Oh, I thought this was the ride, right?" Like, we're actually standing in queue, just we're watching stuff, and she thought that was it. And suddenly it's like, "Oh no, we're just waiting for the next thing," right? So you're just in queue right now. I mean, you're just having these experiences like, wow, this is amazing being an entrepreneur. It's like, no, it hasn't actually started yet, right? So just keep that in mind, all right? So let's come over to next. Gabriel here, highlight, did the second Entrepreneur Social full workshop for tomorrow, looking to buy my first apartment. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Top questions, how to overcome fear of fast growing, or how to prevent myself to grow, how to start surfing the new tide, what's the best way to promote on Mexico, the Entrepreneurs Institute, leverage my business. I know Jess has been in contact with a few of you guys, because obviously you're all on a US time, right? And we do have this tour January, February, and I'm going to tell you more about it in a moment as well. What's the best way to attract the tempo of my team, and where I can find out more information on the evolution of the 12 works of Hercules to evolve on my text type. Oh, interesting. Okay. So Gabriel, I'm going to ask about, well, first of all, like the fact that you actually did like your second Entrepreneur Social, and now you've got a full workshop, which is like obviously what you're aiming to do. What were some of the new strategies or things you did that allowed you to actually fill up that workshop, and just the experience of just getting into these rhythm of like ongoing events now?
Hi, that's the rhythm, the rhythm of the process just have made me like stretch up and be more disciplined on the day-to-day, and now is the time to do this. And I'm finishing up the Entrepreneur Social, and I'm have to start working like 2 weeks before I need to interview the next speaker. So it's getting into the rhythm. And the new strategy that we put in place was to do to take immediate action with the attendees, and start inviting them on other conversations to tell them about the workshop, and to do like to keep on doing these navigational calls with them, and like be really forward with them about the, okay, you are interested in putting your business in another level. Okay, this is the pathway to do it. First, go to this workshop, and then we will talk for another project.
Yeah.
And we have actually, we from that entrepreneur social, they actually 5 of them, they came from there. Yeah, we closed them at that point. So it's half of the workshop. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so given that we're going to come back to what Marie and Danette talk about in terms of pathway and product range, let's walk through just yours for a moment so we can see it as an example, right? So you obviously do entrepreneur social, people show up, you're getting the value there. You then do the workshop. How much are they paying in Mexico for the workshop?
For the workshop, they're on the range of $200.
Okay, and that's like, is it a 1 day or is it a?
It's 4 hours. It's half a day. Okay,
and what are they? And what are you calling that workshop?
It's talento. Yeah, talento. It's talent. Yeah.
After that, if they want to be doing more with you, what's your next phase?
The next. Well, at the beginning of the year was something that it was a weekend, but that didn't went like we tried it and we didn't have like that much traction. Now what I'm doing is doing a mastermind that it's a 6 months program. Once a month I gather up with them on the last Monday of the month. And I'm trying right now with, especially with coaches or individual professionals, to do a 6 months program with some training and some mentoring also.
How much does it cost for that one?
For that one, it will be $1,000. Yeah, and the other one, the mastermind that we're running right now, it's 150, something like that.
1,050?
Yeah, 1,500.
And do you have people on that one already?
Yeah, I have 4 people. Yeah.
And what about this new consult thing? Do you have people on that one at the $1,000?
I just did my first sales pitch with that one today, and I have one on board. So my goal for this by the end of November, that it's the launch of that one. I'm planning to have 10 on board.
Okay, got it. Okay,
what
cool.
I have found, it's that for coaches and like professional and independent professionals, I had the same struggles of not having privileges for selling. So by doing it from service and just having more strategies and the being in iLab just put my mind into work. So teaching them on how to come from service and still be in integrity, and doing it by that, it's I have seen that coaches need that information. Yeah,
that's really good. And so you're seeing them starting to shift their thinking when they realize that as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
Because they confuse a lot of their service with products. And
yeah, absolutely. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to come back to you just on the things that you shared, but that's really awesome. And hopefully just by the way that Gabriel shared that, for those of you building product range, you can see how he's like really clear, like, oh, here it is. And I've still got a comment back on what I think could improve on that. But the fact is, by it being so clear that this is what it is as at this moment, it allows you to then move it to the next level, right? Which is what this is all about. Okay, cool. So let me make sure I'm not missing anything as I'm going here. So let me just go through review docs. Okay, so we've got Gabriel here, and now we're going to, we are going to come to Bonita. So Bonita, welcome to the call. You've been hearing everyone else. I'm going to share all their websites at the moment. Pardon me. I would love for, I'm going to see again. Nope. Okay, thank you. Well, I'd love it if you were to start, Benita, by just sharing with everyone what you're currently doing, what your business is, and what you're most excited about for this coming year.
I'm most excited about getting going with this and finally having the courage to do it. I'm a financial advisor, independent, broke away from all the big companies that I call 800-pound gorillas, and I've been in the business for 20 years. And I am in the midst of writing a book for professional athletes. I got totally taken by all the crazy stories of these 25-year-olds who get all this money and then they proceed to destroy their lives. So I hired a book coach. I've been writing it for the last year and a half. There's just all kinds of weird little things that are happening that I know that I'm on the right track, but I'm very much, I started my own company being an independent registered investment advisory firm about 4 years ago. And I'm finally to the point, Roger, where I'm paying my bills, but that's all I'm doing is I'm just paying my bills and I don't pay myself a penny. So when I was reading that, I was just laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so in red. But I'm so proud of myself for being able to pay my bills.
Okay, good. Well, you got to that point, right? So what are you most excited about for this coming year? Well, you actually said already. You said it's like getting
I'm about to launch this book, and so I feel like I'm stepping over a threshold into a whole new life because I have it's a gut feeling that I know that it's going to step me up to the next level. But I also knew I needed some help. I needed some coaching because right now my current clients are people that are retiring in my town. And by the way, Danette and I need to talk more because I live 3 hours from her.
Huh.
And I'm actually met her at Lake Tahoe. So,
oh, wow, okay. That's awesome. That's
anyway,
very cool.
I know that you can't, in order to take yourself to another level, you can't do what you've done in the past. And my current clients are people that are retiring. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be 10 timing I'm going to be going to 25, 30-year-old kids that have millions of dollars and they need help. And I can just see all kinds of different ways that they could be helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm stepping off into the wild blue yonder.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, I know we've still got our orientation call to go, but I'm going to already give you the kind of key tips on getting started and the key things to be looking at right now. Okay. Fantastic. Welcome to the call, to Anita. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to kick into this now, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out from the background while I'm doing this as well. I'm going to my old files because I'm going to dig out the number of you are running a promotion plans relating to books, right? So I'm going to dig out my MMP plan from 2014 when we actually launched the actual book, which will be very interesting to have a look at, right? So let's just pull it out here. Let's see if I can find the whole, let's see if it's here somewhere. It was a massive, big plan. And I'll just get it, MMP plan. Go, plan, project plan. Aha, I think I've got it. Wait. Just looking to open it. Project plan, pages, project plan, preview. Where is it? Still looking. Okay, let me do a better job of this. If I can't find it, I'll get it later. But I just know I do have it here somewhere. But it's like 4 years ago. That was the last time I launched a book. We are actually launching a new book next year. It was meant to be this year, but it turned out a bit busy, right? So we didn't actually quite do that. But we do have it here, and I'm also going to see if I can. Oh, okay, this is good. I'm also taking another book, which was one that Chris and Janet launched, which also became a bestseller, which was which was actually based very similar on our one. They loved what we did, so they actually created one too, which was called Hidden Riches, right? And they actually built a whole plan around that. And I'll use this as a base because it's actually quite a good example of how we helped them to make that a bestseller too. So I'm just going to, first of all, share my screen so you can kind of see what the key things are that I have got on my screen, and also just share a bit about everybody's plans as they are right now as well, right? So here we go. And you'll see, first of all, I've been putting everyone's notes down here as we've been going. And we have two big themes, just two. We're going to start with the first one, which is about running a promotion. Like, how do you really make sure that you're doing the yellow level right? Remember, and I know sometimes I say these as reminders, but they are critical every time, that basically at the end of the day, orange level has a very, very different endpoint to yellow level, which has a very, very different endpoint from green level, which has a very, very different endpoint from blue level, right? And the endpoint is basically a lane of a highway, which can then automatically run on its own, right? That's the key to each one of these. So the most important thing is understanding that at orange level, what you're doing is you're building trust flow, right? Meaning that you're getting an ongoing flow of trust coming to you because you're working with someone where they trust that you're going to show up for work, right? That you're working with someone where they trust that you're actually going to follow their culture. Like orange level is a worker where you're working with someone, and we all know, who are the, this actually came up, and Mary and David talking about how do we help our people to be more successful at what they do? So the bigger question is, how much do we trust that those people are the people that are going to want to follow what we were saying in the first place, right? Because if you say, I don't have a lot of trust of that, we've got to kind of convince them of this, convince them of that. It's like, oh, that's where the issue is. It isn't even about, so remember that trust flow is about 3 C's. We talked about that on the last call. It's about culture, first of all. It's like, are these people even a fit with our culture? It's like, oh no, it's evil to make money. It's like, that's not a fit with our culture. So what is your culture? Culture is that the more that you can enrich the lives of others, the more you enrich your company as well. It's like, well, do you agree with that culture? Don't agree with that. Nope. If we're going to be making any money on this, I want out, right? And by the way, this happened with green school. Like, I actually stepped out of green school because there was too many people there saying green school should never be in a position to make money. And I'm like, if we can't make money, we can't get investors to invest in more schools. And if we can't get investors to invest in schools, we can never grow. All the biggest networks in the world, from IB to Montessori, allow everyone to make money in order for the whole thing to grow. You can't just grow the whole thing with no money. And they're like, nope, we don't want to make money. It's like they were so adamant. This is not John Hardy who launched it. I mean, he knows this, right? But it was like the greenies who'd shown up who basically believed that it was evil to make money. And I'm like, I can't work here anymore, right? I'm like, all right, I'm out. And basically now we've got Genius School, which actually is surrounded by people who know that basically money is a reflection of value that you're giving, right? So if you're making money, it's because you're delivering value. If you don't like the money, give it away, but you still should be using it as a measure of, are you actually delivering value to people? So this whole thing about culture, first of all, is super important. The second one is capability, right? Because they might be the culture. Like, yes, I am part of this. I'm sorry, the second one is capacity, and then capability. Capacity is like, have I set them up for success, right? Or I've got them too busy doing everything. I'm trying to get the person at the till to basically sell, but that person's capability is actually being good with numbers. I shouldn't be getting that person to the one that sells, right? So the person who's going to take the money will be different from the one who's actually going to sell, right? Or it's like, oh no, the person who's selling is the one who's the person who is actually providing the advice, right? But I'm not going to call them a salesperson, right? I'm going to call them a genius. I mean, that's what Apple does, right? Apple's got the Genius Bar, where every one of those geniuses, Apple geniuses that they have, they basically got themselves like, a little swiper, and they can actually help you. They can answer your questions, and they can swipe and just take the money straight away, right? And they are compensated on that at the end of the day, that if they actually are able to kind of show you. So that's like the way the culture should be. And then the third thing is from capacity is capability. Are they actually capable of doing the job, right? So if someone's in your business and it's not working, you're going to start by saying, are they the right cultural fit? Which means, well, what is our culture, right? Have we even defined what our culture is to start with? Which is the first step at green level, right? And then you then get to the next two. Now, all these things, someone at orange level has no clue about these things. The person at orange level should just be looking to build trust flow, which means connecting in with a way that am I being trusted, right? By the time you get to yellow level, you've moved beyond trust flow, which is your own personal flow of trust, to the customer, right? So this is now about customer flow, which is like you've now got a flow of customers that are flowing through the process, right? At the moment, the way that Marie's talking about kind of how do we break even with a book, or the way Benita might be doing it, it's only the door. The book is only the door, right? It's like no one's going to go through the door unless they like what they see on the other side. So the days of chicken soup for the soul, where you can actually make all your money on just the book, those days are over, right? It's like because content is free today. So when we created our pathway, we wanted to create a total customer pathway, right? So these are pathways, by the way. Like customer pathway is what you create for customer flow. It's like, what are my product ranges and what do they look like? And once that's actually flowing well, people will be knocking on my door saying they want to come to things. Like, as an example, we have our Wealth Dynamics Masters that's coming up in like 2 weeks, and it's full. And we haven't even gone out and really promoted it other than sending a few emails to say, hey, here's the next thing to do. Because people who are like, Crystal Circle members, people who are like our flow consultants, say, no, the next step to plan for next year is to come to Masters. And so they just all book up to come. So that's what you want with your products, is that people just naturally say, I'm ready for the next thing. So what you're hearing Gabriel say here, or what I started with Danette, is like, what's your customer pathway? Because until you have that, you can't move past yellow level, right? In the case of someone like Mary and David, or in the case of someone like Yoann, they've got a customer pathway, but they're looking to redevelop or build themselves at the next level, which means sometimes you got to retool, go back, review, what do you want to do different on the customer flow? So green level is if you've got the first lane and second lane working, then you can get to the next lane, which is all about talent flow, which is your team. It's like, do I have a way that I'm now attracting team members in? And then those team members are then just naturally just showing up and wanting to work with me. And so the whole focus then at green level is not trying to like redesign your customer flow, because that's already flowing. It's designing your talent flow so that you can now have your time back, because you've got teams that show up. And then you get finally to blue level, which is about capital flow, which is like resources, having people invest in you, all those kind of things, right? So as you go further, you have to go and actually spend time on the next level of flow, while others are working on the level of flow below you, right? So just keep that in mind, as we're going to start with Benita, Marie, Gabriel on the yellow 3, and Danette. Then we're going to come to the green level, Renske, Yoann, Mary and David, which is all about team and about the enterprise and how you build those up together as well, right? First of all, let me just share what I just opened here, which is how we designed our plan for the book, right? So like that was part of Benita's question, like how do I actually run a promotion plan? So here's the promotion plan. We did this Millionaire Master Plan and Hidden Riches, which is the book that Chris and Janet came out with together, right? And we said, okay, we're going to put a plan together. So here we were really clear on the brands. Really, now I want to say something about putting a name to something. You know, it's like when I asked Danette a question like, okay, so you're going to do a consultation. What are you calling it? So what's the reason that I'm actually, why does it need a name? Like, is there a difference of me saying, hey, there's 8 different paths to wealth. And if I sit down with you, I'm going to do an analysis. I'm going to be able to share with you which of these 8 paths are yours. Is that different from saying, we've got wealth dynamics? And wealth dynamics is what gives you 8 paths to wealth, right? Very big difference, right? Because one's got a name to it, right? We've named it. When you have a baby, you don't go through that baby's whole life calling them baby. You give them a name. The moment you give them a name, they have an identity, right? This is what we mean by capital. So really important. Capital. What is capital? Like when you go to your balance sheet is based on capital, it's your assets, right? Capital is anything that starts with a capital. The moment you can address something, right? The moment you can name it, like a capital city has got a proper name. It's got the word proper. You prop it up. A proper noun. A proper noun is something that has got a capital at the beginning. So the moment I'm called Roger, right? That means that I now have got, I have a river. Like the moment you actually give something that can like stand up, this is what we call an asset. Another word for an asset is a river. A river is something that creates ongoing cash flow. So an individual can create ongoing cash flow, right? It's a name. If you say, oh, you know that piece of land between, you know, on the intersection, you know, of those 2 roads on the way out of town, that's my land. Well, guess what? You can't do anything. It's like, well, how can you prove that? It's like, I can't prove it. It's like, oh, wait a minute. There's actually an address, which is like, you know, 23rd Main Street to 25th Main Street. There's actually a deed for that piece of land, which is exactly 1 acre out of town. And that is my property, right? And how do you know it's my property? Because it's got an address, right? You can actually send something in the post to it, right? It's like number, 23 Main Street. That's the address. So the moment you can address something, the moment you can give it a name, it becomes a river. It's as simple as that, right? So if you say, does that mean that I should just be naming everything I've got? It's like 100% you should be naming all of it, right? I taught my kids this a long time ago, name everything, right? So they basically, like, it was so funny when we went on to Burning Man, Teresa got out like her masking tape and she was just naming everything. She's like kettle, right? She's like penguin. She's like, you know, it's like just putting stuff on everything. And the moment you name things, you then say, well, how can this now grow and evolve on its own, right? So a company having a name, right, means that can have a capital value now. And like a product having a name means it can have capital value now. And people can actually partner with that thing and it becomes something real, right? So your power as an entrepreneur to create value starts with your ability to name things, like give a name to everything. Like you can't just say I have a book. You have to say what's the name of the book. So I hope that really helps to really kind of like say, well, then what do I actually have that I can put on my balance sheet? It's like, well, what have you named so far? Well, I got my time. Do you name your time? No. Well, break it down and what you're going to call it now. And you could hear Gabriel's like got very specific things, which are products, which have got names to them. And you can actually then design that in a way that actually allows you to then create flow, right? Which is what this is all about, right? So, and by the way, talent flow is different names, right? This is now talking about the name of a person, right, within your company, like a name of a position that someone actually is like reaching out towards, right? So at every point, there's always going to be like the next step. Flow consultant, what's the next step? Become a performance consultant. And then it's going to become, and they've all got names, right? And everyone knows who they are as they go as well. Okay, so with all that being shared, let's come back to this plan, right? So here you can see the names, right? We're saying we've got the Roger Hamilton personal brand. We've got the Millionaire Master Plan, right? We've got a brand promise for each of these. We've got the company brand, Entrepreneurs Institute. What are these different things? We've got the Genius Test, another brand, right? And what's the purpose, right? We're going to grow this business around the world, right? We've got these objectives, generate $10 million from a book, right? But we're not doing it by selling the book. We are selling the book, but we're not looking to make money from the book. We've got a pathway where we've got development objectives, financial objectives, learning objectives, and we have a product range. So we said we're going to be launching the Millionaire Master Plan. We're going to launch off the back of it. We're going to have our academy. We're going to have a crystal circle. We're going to have a mentor circle at a high level. We're going to have alchemy circle. So we designed all of this. We're going to run a challenge, right? So we designed the whole thing up as to what we would be doing. Where like, so this is really important for Marie to do with Ruby is to say, okay, so someone comes aboard and gets the book, right? After the book, what then happens? Oh, we're going to invite them to a retreat, or we're going to invite them to a mastermind group. It's like, okay, well, how much are they going to pay for that? And then, then they're going to like, have a chance to be mentored and be, okay, how much are they going to pay for that? So then you say, well, then how much of each do we think we're going to actually sell? What's our assumptions we're making, right? What's the value? We hit our 10 million because we worked out ahead of time what we wanted to make, right? And then off the back of that, we then said, okay, well, how many of each one would we need? We need 800,000 subscribers, 400,000 downloads, 200,000 readers. You can take all these numbers and just, if you want to, just take 3 zeros off it, right? 800 subscribers. Like you're still going to get, instead of 10 million, you're still going to get 100,000. You take, zeros off. So this here is about like how we thought through each part. We're creating the picture for the puzzle before we have to take all the puzzle pieces, right? So what's the picture of all of it and what does it all look like? And then we went into the market. Who are we actually going for? We're going to go for specific people. This is when we create our avatars, right? We actually created Genius U off the back of the launch of the book, right? So this was at the beginning how we were thinking of Genius U. It wasn't even called Genius U at that point. But it was like we knew we needed that to have this thing called the Lighthouse Library. And that's what we did when we launched Genius U, or at least the basis of it 4 years ago. And then we then actually said, okay, what's our plan, right? Every single, month, what's the plan? I can send this to you guys so you can have a copy of it as well. And this actually just gives you each of the, I was going to go to Necker Island. It's like, it was all part of the plan, right? I was going to do all these different things of where I was going to be, what we were going to do. And it was a full year plan, right? We went from November 2013 all the way through to November 2014, right? And it became a 1 year plan to do this. And it became my main focus, right? With the rest of the team, we're doing other things. And you can see here, we actually had a pre-launch. We knew what we were doing on the pre-launch side. We knew what we were doing on the launch. We knew what we were doing on post-launch. If you want to go 10 times bigger, you've got to go 10 times more detail, right? The way to a 10 times microscope, a telescope is a 10 times microscope. It's going to 10 times more detail, like, oh, here's what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it. And of course, you don't start with a $10 million promotion. We already knew how to do $1 million promotions, right? And it's like, we're just going to like 10 times it by just lifting up one level more, right? So if you're struggling to do $1,000, well, don't start trying to do 100,000, right? Just go and say, well, let me just put a plan together that just makes me my next 1,000 or my next 10,000, and just start from there, right? We put a publicity plan together. How we're going to sell the 200,000 books. We said we're going to do it through 6 different ways. We're going to use Results Source that was helping people to get into airports and out across the board, and they had a really high level of results in making things bestsellers. Publicity, television experiences. So I did a whole bunch of stuff online. We got a PR company that could do all of this, long and short lead print, radio, right? Pre-launch promotion, sales team contests, we like special sales, bulk sales, promotional incentives. It goes on, right? Like we were not leaving anything to chance, right? Drip marketing. Here's our people we're going to connect up with. We actually used this plan when we went out to find a publisher. So when I got Hachette to be the publisher and they gave an advance on the book of like $250,000, it was because of this plan. It wasn't because of the book. It's because they said, hey, you're going to make this a bestseller. We want to be part of that. And they hadn't even seen the book yet, right? But basically it was because of all of this and what we were going to be doing, which is what actually made them say, we want to publish for you, right? We did branding, dedicated launch. This is really important. You know, we talk about with Renske, who's your team that's launching your new company. You've got to actually start by saying who's going to be in that team, right? And then you then go into implementation. And this goes breakdown, set up promotion, you know, what we're doing, conferences, affiliate partners. And we just followed this plan for a year. That's all we did. Like, because we already had the plan. So we just said, we just follow it now. But we knew what the end result was of what we wanted with the plan, right? That's it, 30 pages. You don't need as detailed as a plan to just launch a book, but what you do need is you need the product pathway, and you need to say, what is it that's going to come along the line? So it's for Benita, it's for Marie, it's for Danette as well, because Danette's part of this as well, in terms of actually, okay, how do we actually really make sure we do a really great job of connecting the dots and pulling this together? Is about having that product brand as we go. So let's go one step further. Let's say someone like Benita wants to do this, but she wants to do it specifically with athletes, for example, right? So as an example, we have got Eileen, and Eileen runs something which is called Get Up and Go. She's based in Ireland, and definitely someone for Benita to connect up with. And the Get Up and Go diary, this here was basically like set up. I mean, it does about 70, 80,000 a year where it gets sold through retail and so on. And it got set up basically as a really motivational diary where every day there's really cool stuff that inspires you and things like that as well, right? And then when Eileen's part of Crystal Circle. So as she started working with us, she started like doing it for specific brands, and then she started actually doing it for specific companies. So for example, you can see here the Genius Journal, right? The Genius Journal is the one she's done for us, right? So we have a Genius Journal that people can have, and she's done it for different people, student guides, stuff like that as well. So she went out to the Athletic Association in Ireland and created this, the All Stars Sports Journal. Right? And so she is sponsored by the Athletic Association, and it's going out to all the athletes across all of Ireland, right? So she's got already the connections there, but it was by going out and saying, here's what we can deliver. We want to deliver this for you as well, right? So the fact that you've now got like Benita, who's going to be, you know, creating a book which is actually helping professional athletes with their finances, well, there's a partnership there where you're actually saying, well, I should partner with people already who've got those partnerships with the athletes. And then I can then launch something and saying, hey, you know, when we do the book, you know, you can buy the book on Amazon for X amount, but we've got super special for everyone who's part of the Irish Association or the US Association. And of course, this happens in all different countries as well. You know, we've got the likes of, I'll just give you this link here on this one. We've got the likes of, oh, sorry, I missed showing everyone's websites, right? Let me do this for a quick second. Oh my gosh, why have I only got 12? I came in and I thought I plugged in. Good thing I saw it and then when you look at my power, 12% left, better plug in. Okay, so we have here everyone's websites after these gloomy stories. So here's Mammoth Health. Here is the Papoose Toys. And also the Colors of Australia, which is all the toys here as well. And so it's Francie's company. Magical Land of Awesome. I'm going to come back to these, which are some of the landing pages, right? So we'll come back to these in a moment. For Marie, here's Gabriel's site. Here's Triad. Here's Benita's site. So just Get Up and Go diaries, right? So you know, another example would be someone like we actually just had a really worth listening to on the Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind call. So if you haven't listened to it yet, if you missed it on Tuesday, I definitely recommend that you go to the Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind page where we had an interview with one of our Crystal Circle members. We had Jess, who was talking all about events. So everyone who's doing events, you should definitely listen in. So she was on the call. And we also had Jacqueline, who was an Olympic rower. She's a national champion in Australia at rowing. So here they are. And I actually posted it all down here as well. Where's it gone? Oh, so much has been put. Here it is, right? Where, like, again, on here, like you can like go straight to this link here. And you'll see that there is a link to the recording. And it's where Jacqueline talked about her rebranding everything she does, where she basically, so here's Jess and Jacqueline on this video here. And basically the whole thing was around how to really run events that are successful, how to build a team around events, because Jess has gone from like 8 events we did 2017 to 50 events we did 2018, right? Which is pretty massive, right? As a growth. And it was through the whole plan of how we did that. And we had all these people all posting and stuff in here as well, which is great. So you can kind of come back and see all this. And Jacqueline, what she did was she created this business here called High Performance and Purpose. It's all based on sport. Would you like to become even better in your business than you were in your sport? Find out how in a free 30-minute business strategy session. So she's already got all these people who already she knows who are like top in sport, connecting with the book and saying, here, we've got this finance strategy. Do you want to bring this to Australia? And do you want to bring your service to America? Right? Then straight away, you both are a value to each other. And everything she does is we're looking to sports people that really like the idea of building a business using the same tools that she's used as an Australian rowing champion and award-winning entrepreneur, right? So this is about like, starting with people who already have got a brand value and partnering with them. And for each of you, you should be having a hot list of 10 people that you want to partner with. And then just go contact those people and saying, here's what I'm doing. And so we're doing that with like what we want to do with the book next year. We're doing it with the launch of our events in America, which I'm going to come to in a moment as well. That's all part of this going forward as well, right? So let's talk about that for a moment, right? Like in terms of promotion plans. And I'm actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish with Danette, Gabriel Marie first. Then I'm going to link that to the ways we're doing our promotion plans right now, right? So in the case of someone like Danette, she could definitely say, just like Gabriel is. Well, first of all, I'll come to Gabriel, right? When we do our design of our promotion plans, really super important, like especially when we're linking it to an event, that we link it all up together. We just had our team charter meeting, which took place on Tuesday this week. And here is our Q4 team charter. And in fact, if I show you also, well, I was about to go to health dynamics because we've got health dynamics one as well, but I'll keep to this one for a moment. And actually, I will open the health dynamics one because I think it's really important to see how a new company is able to get to $1 million quickly as a result of just getting the right promotion plan together. You can see that what's happened is Jo, who's been on Crystal Circle for years now, she's just gone out and used exactly the same format that we've used. She just changed the color. This is our product range, where it's like what's free, what's entry level, what's low, what's middle, and what's high, right? So by definition, free is $0. Entry level is under $100. Low level is between $100 and $300. Mid-level is around more like $1,000 plus. High level is like over $10,000, right? So if you look at what Gabriel's done here, he's got his kind of like first level is really like talent dynamics, right? And that's more like $100, okay, or less. This talent this is fine as a second level. It's like just like a little workshop. That works fine, okay? This one, you heard that he was trying to do the weekend. It didn't work. That's because you don't ever want to have your mid-level product. Like this is the entry-level product. This is mid-level. You don't ever want to have the mid-level product as something which is an event, which means that people have to make it to that particular event at that particular time. Unless it's like like a major retreat, like when we do iLab, we can design that as a middle-level product because people will come to that. But a mastermind is way, way better as a middle-level product. So like our Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind, like Jan has done that in Europe. He's created something which is more like around about $1,000, $1,500. So this will work. This is good. It will work even better if that was 927 or 970, right? You'd sell double as many by just dropping it to that because people have a mindset around the $1,000 number, right? Especially if you do it at 970 for 12 months. It just becomes so compelling, and you can scale that. You don't need to be like just doing it for 6 months. By doing it for 12, it actually gives you a continuous cycle as well. So that's what I would do, right? To make it more like that. You can go to 1,500. Like what Jan's doing is he's taking our Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind, where I say, I'm going to be sharing every single month. And then what he does is he says, I'm going to add on top of that, the fact that we're going to have a separate section, which is in Czech and in Slovak, like in different languages. And we're going to do this in a way you get more value. And so they go, great. And then they sign up with him. And why does he do that? Because he wants to get to the next level. The next level, you said consult. You're doing $1,000, or you kind of like these two are competing too much. So I would make this more like $1,000 a month, or even $500 a month, right? Where you're getting some of your team to then actually go in and work with someone, and someone goes, "Oh, $500 a month, I want that." Well, they're gonna spend $6,000 a year with you, right? Which is more what your top level should be looking like, right? You don't need that many at $6,000. I mean, think about that. If you want to make $50,000, you only need 7 of these people. If you want to make $50,000 over here, holy cow, you need a lot of people, right? So you actually end up making a lot more money on the first class seats than you do basically on economy class, right? But this helps fill the plane. So just be really aware, first, economy class, business class, first class, you always want to have that. So the net can take exactly the same as this and just do this. Just going to have your workshop, just going to have your mastermind, just going to have your larger high-level mentoring or your consult session, and just make it really simple, right? It works. And it's what we're seeing many people out there do, and turn them into $1 million businesses really quickly, and give each one of them a name so people see what they are and what they look like as well. Okay, so promotion plan, use the promotion plan templates, which are on our, which is on here as well. Let me give you this link here. So this is for the Gem Call with Jess and Jacqueline, and you can go and watch that after this. And then connect with them, right? Because everyone here that I'm speaking about are all wanting to connect with you. They're all seeing value in the things that you can deliver to them, and vice versa as well. Product range, we talked about promotion plan and how you design that. We talked about, here is the actual, let me go to the micro degrees. If you just walk through, for someone like Benita who's just on here, this is a good way to get a bit like that. For everything I talk about, we've got all the actual workbooks and everything on here as well. So you can go to this one here, which is the orange to yellow, which is what we're talking about right now. And you'll see that everything around building your identity is on here, everything around kind of like master your market and monetize your moment, which is all about the promotion plan, which is yellow 3. This is where you can listen to it, understand it, like how do you actually really start building it up, and then assess yourself. Do I have a written promotion plan, a project leader, a project rhythm? It's like, no, don't have that right now. The moment you have it, you can like score it higher, right? Do I have a financial development learning objectives yet? Like I haven't set them yet. Do I have weekly, monthly milestones? Do I have an irresistible offer? Like, so at the moment, Danette's asking these questions, but these are not yet at the point where she's like, yep, I've got those in place. Gabriel's got these in place. Marie's starting to get these in place, but walk this through and make sure you actually have a plan. And this then takes you to the actual template, which you can then use, right? Which is all on here as well. Playbook, everything, you can download it all here, right? So I'll just give you this so that I'll go back to this link here. So you've actually got the promo plan as well. And let me show you what our promos plan look like from an event point of view. When we did our Entrepreneurs Institute, from the product range, we then designed the promotion plans, where the promotion plans look like this. I'll go to the event one. This is the event one where we're running. So Jess just put these together and we discussed them, like the workshops, Exponential Entrepreneurs. This is for quarter 4, right? So we actually, in the next 2 weeks, are going to have one for quarter 1 as well. But quarter 4, you can see she's got, what's the problem I'm looking to solve? What's my solution? I'm running these events, fast tracks. Here's the offer. So we had one of these for Lake Tahoe, for example. So it was all designed ahead of time of what we're going to do, what we're going to be offering. And then off the back of that, what her targets are. So she knows she's doing 3 EFTs in this coming quarter. She's got her workshops going. She's got basically, a profit that she's going to be making off the back of it. And then from here, she's got her flow. Like, where are we going to get people from? What are they coming to? What are they going to buy? When they join the next thing, what are they going to buy from there? So she just knows what the whole pathway looks like. And she's developing this now and breaking it down in terms of how it then links into different price points as she goes through it as well, right? So this is what you want it to look like at the end, to say, here's what, and any one of you who does this by the next call and says, hey, can you look at my plan? What do you think of this? I'll give you feedback directly on it as well, in terms of the kind of the thought process behind it. But that basically is how you build a plan together, right? And what I'd say in Marie's case is have those next products, like have it that people are now going to come to the mastermind, and get your different people who are actually doing this, who like the people who already have come on board, get them to be offering in their products as well, so that you've actually got them into a package that people want to buy into after they've actually got the book, and they then become your marketing to then actually get more in. Then you have a target of how many people are going to read the book. Off the basis of that, then will lead to people to want to do more with you. And then you've got your flow through on that as well. So here are the documents. Just to finish on this before I go to the green level. With this first one is the landing page. And the question is, well, how do I get the last 5 people? So let's imagine, like the end game in a launch plan is very different from the beginning. The beginning, you're always going to have your first movers. The people go, I don't need a lot of evidence on this. I just want to do it, right? I want to be in a best-selling book. So they come on board first. Then you've got a lot of other people who go, well, I only want to do it if I know it's actually going to work, or if I know I'm going to miss out. Right? So people at the end come in because there's a cost of missing out. Your invitation to become best-selling author by telling your heroes or heroines' journey story as a social impact entrepreneur. So this is not a headline of someone who's thinking, am I missing out, right? This is your beginning headline. So this is very different from join these 17 high-profile authors and become a best-selling author within the next 3 months, closing in 2 weeks, or closing in 10 days, right? Only 5 spots left, right? Or only 3 spots left. That's something which makes someone go, oh my God, I'm going to miss out, right? Who are these 17 people, right? And then you go down and you'd want to see those 17 people. Here they are. This is what they do. It's like, oh, I want to be with those people, right? So this is all about, this is what you do at the beginning of a launch. It's like, oh, okay, so I get to be a best-selling author, and that would be kind of cool. And some people can use their imagination. They can do that, right? But the ones that stay behind, they won't actually do that. oh, there's a system behind it. Oh, there's J.K. Rowling saying something. Oh, there's like, you know, 2 people talking about this. Yeah, it looks like it's just getting started. I'll wait. I'll come back later. This is what this is telling those people who are like saying, I'm not going to do something just for the risk of it. I'm going to do something if I'm going to miss out, right? So this is not designed at the moment as the end of a promotion. This is designed as the beginning of a promotion, which is why you're not having any urgency on the people joining. The ones who came at the beginning who responded to this are the ones who are like, I don't need a lot of convincing. I'm happy to do it anyway. But you now need to change the actual wording to say we're closing. It's over. We've got 17 people. It's looking awesome. There's only 5 spots left, right? And then from there, people go, oh, I better go in now, right? That's what I would say about this. And be really aware that in any promotion, we shift it as we go. I mean, like, you know, when we do an event, at the end, we actually say, you know, closing in 2 days. We eventually say, like, you know, sold out. And then people go, geez, I better book early for the next one, right? Here, same thing. I mean, like here, do you know 3 simple ways, become an author, podcast, speaking. This should be saying right now, we are now closing. Here's like, you know, the people that are coming on board and why they're coming on board. You don't need to give all 17. You might just explain like, here's 3 or here's 5. I joined this because I'm going to get this result, this result. I joined this because you don't have any of those testimonials or any of that evidence that someone's going to miss the party. This should all be about right now. The party's about to start and you're about to miss it, right? You can take into this as well. You know, Roger's coming for his tour in the US. This is like the one big opportunity when we're launching the first time. You're going to miss out if you don't become part of this, right? And you're going to kick yourself for doing it. And so people go, okay, then I'm going to come in, I'm going to be part of it, right? That's the energy you need at this point. What I would say as well, just in terms of our launch promotion, we basically just had a conversation about what we're doing in the US and in Mexico. I'm going to be at the Transformational Leadership Council in Mexico in the 2nd week of January, right? So we basically put a schedule together where we said, here it is, right? Here's my calendar. So on the calendar, we said we're going to kick it off beginning of January. This is 2019 already. We've got a Los Angeles fast track booked in for Tuesday 15th, San Diego Thursday 17th. I'm going to go to TLC in Mexico where we're getting all our partners on board. You know, Janet Atwood wants to bring her entire business in with us at the moment. We've got all these people that want to work with us right now there as well. All these guys like, you know, Yannick Silver at Mavericks wants us to, you know, wants to support us in the growth of what we're doing. We had this, which might be Mexico, but it looks like it might be Seattle now instead. One which might be Chicago now instead. Chicago. And so this is all a work in progress, right? So I know Jess is speaking to you guys at the moment. What I would say is this is the #1 way of making sure you get partnerships and people on board. It's like, hey, Roger's coming to town. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We're launching a book. It's all happening all at this time. We've got all these people actually marketing and supporting us as well. Do you want to be one of the partners? And every time we've done this, people like Jan, who before struggled to fill up a room, was able to fill up an entire room in Prague, right? Because once you've got brand name and once you've got something that only happens once in a lifetime, you get all your partners on board. So I know, for example, you know, with Mexico, it's like it's now or never to come to Mexico. I know Gabriel spoke to Jess, and Gabriel's like, I don't know if I can fill up a room, right? But it's the other way around. It's like, it's not you that has to fill up the room. It's our branding and everything we do, which then gets people then wanting to partner with you that might not have partnered with you so far. And then your whole brand lifts to the next level up as well. And then as a result of that, over the next 3 months, the rest of the year becomes easy because now you've got all these people already working with you. So that's what happened with Jan. That's what happened with Lena. It's what happened with pretty much all the people that come on board. Daniel in the UK, that each of them then basically have lifted their entire business off the back of the branding, and that's like parachuting in on the mountain instead of having to climb it, right? So and I would say the idea of launching the book at that point and actually having the whole, I think that's a great idea, right? And it gives everyone then something that they can get really excited about, and you can launch your product brands off the back of it as well. This is exactly what's happening right now with Deborah. They've got their virtual CFO service. They're launching that off the back of all of the events that we're doing in Brisbane right now. And we've got one coming up where they're just using that as the big draw for all the things that they're up to and what they're doing too. So I see that what's going to happen in America next year is going to be pretty big because we've got all this demand and people that want to work with us. So straight after this call, I've got a call with a girl called Christy Turley, right? So Christy, she sent me a message about a month ago saying, Roger, I was having a meditation and your name popped in my head and I was thinking there must be a reason I should be reaching out to you. And I'm like, well, funny you should contact me. Good to know my telepathy is working because I am looking for someone that can come help me, right? So she basically just works with multi-million-dollar, 8-figure businesses, right? Where basically she is just working with like the top entrepreneur into the masters. She does all of the digital marketing for people like Jeff Walker, all the guys that are like the big, marketing guys in the US. And she's just really, really good at it, right? So the fact that she kind of contacted it exactly when we needed it. So we'll be speaking to her about actually really driving all the social media together with Suraj for our events in America. So we just fill them all up basically. And then of course with the partners on the ground to get the partnerships in place, I think it's going to be huge, right? And what we're going to do. So use all of this, right? And actually use it as part of the flow through. I think to have one in Seattle will be awesome. And I think that, between us, we'll be able to make it really successful and then use it as a way to actually launch the book and grow it off the back of that as well. I think it'll be great. Okay, so let's go from that to then actually say, well, what were we doing at green level? What can we do here to make sure that you are really getting the traction you need for your team? Okay, when we started our call, we had a 2-hour call, which we do every quarter for our team charter. And what we did on the call was really simple. We started with basically, an entire 30 minutes on our culture. So it's all about culture, how to set the right culture in the right way. Then we went from that into basically everyone sharing how did each of their promotion plans go from the last quarter, right? Everyone's working off promotion plans like this. So I can go to the Q3 promotion plan and everything is so crystal clear. Like if I go to Q3, which is this one here, right? Then on this one, everyone scored themselves. Like you don't have to tell people have they done a good job or not, because they're already managing themselves in terms of what they've done or how well they've done it. I could go down to, let's just keep with events as a theme. I can go down to Jess's events, and so you can see here's her events. And here, she's how she scored them, right? She's like, I'm giving myself a 6 out of 10 for that. And she walked through each of this to say, here's why I'm giving myself an 8 out of 10 for this one, right? Here's why I'm giving myself a 6 out of 10 for this one. So on each one, she's explaining what happened. And as a result, everyone's able to go, okay, I get, what she did or the way or the reason that she is going to improve for the next quarter. And then everyone is putting down here their personal compass. So personal compass is when everyone's actually writing their own job description. So I will have my personal compass, for example, which is this one here, where I'll basically be able to say all about myself. And I'll say, here's what my roles and responsibilities are for the next quarter. Here's my top priorities. Here's my milestones. So, we can do this, like we just walk through everyone's milestones and everything they're doing for Q4. So like on this one here, like there's no surprises, right? I can come to anyone in the team here, right? Whether it's, Jess here, where she's gone through herself, her passions, and like, what was her roles and responsibilities? What's her top priorities? What's her objectives, key results? And then what her wins and challenges, like what worked, what was tough, and what's her biggest learnings, what's her goals. And for everyone in the company, we've got this. So you get to see everyone and where they're at. Everyone's put the latest photos in from what they were doing in the last quarter, this kind of stuff. This is Jenna's one. And this basically brings the whole thing alive where everyone feels like they're really connected to where they're at. So coming over, first of all, to Mary and David. First of all, on this point here, you don't need market experience as a visionary. Like, I'm the visionary within Entrepreneurs Resorts. I've had no experience at like running hotels and so on, right? But the team, they know how to do all of this. So I will be consulting with them the whole time, say, here's the picture of what I believe, what do you think? They'll be able to say, well, okay, I can do that, but here's going to be more difficult. But it's not about the market experience. It's about the vision of where you want to go. And it's about the visionary wanting to actually know about the customer, right? So I will spend time with the customer, right? To really learn who they are, what they need. That's what David needs to be doing as well, right? Like spend time in the shop, speaking to people, finding out what they actually are trying to get solved for themselves. If he does that, he'll find people who will say, oh, I'm really looking for a way for me to like just sort out my sleep, right? It's like, oh, well, let's have a look. And it's like, oh, wait, we haven't actually designed this easily for people to actually find a really easy solution to sleep better. Let's do that, right? Let's actually put the package together. This is a Sleep Well package. And here's where you get it. And let's package that up and put it at the front of the store, right? And then straight away, little things like that are what make all the difference. Like a really cool book to read around retail. There's two. One is Made in America. So this is Sam Walton's book, where you just see like he just goes in his stores constantly looking for smart ways to actually improve the store. He created a whole structure where even when he had thousands of stores, he would have a structure where he would get everyone in every store to fly in to Bentonville, which is where their main office was, every Thursday night, right? They'd all fly in. On Friday morning, everyone would present one idea that happened in one of their stores where they saw that it actually was a good idea that helped the customer and helped them make more sales. And they all listened to all the ideas. And then on the Saturday, they agreed on what the top 3 ideas were that they were all going to implement across all the stores. And they flew back to wherever they were around America. And on Monday, they implemented. And on Thursday, they flew back to Bentonville and they came with the next best idea. And on Friday, they then told all the ideas. And on Saturday, they came up with the best 3. And on Monday, they then flew back. And they just kept doing that. And they did that for basically 30 years and became the first $100 billion business, right? It's like just doing that one rhythm, just again and again. What are we improving? What are we improving, right? So like a great book because actually is about where the actual action happens, which is where your customer is, right? And if you haven't been in the store and seen what they're buying and how they're buying it, you're missing that opportunity. And the moment people see you do that and see the results, they'll start getting into it as well, as opposed to just make sales, right? So if I just put that link in here, so we have that here. The second book, which is even better, is The Everything Store, right? So this is the one which is the story of Amazon. And it's such a great book because it really explains how Jeff Bezos did the same thing virtually, right? And how he's got this whole rhythm of how it just becomes a smarter and smarter and smarter store because of the rhythm of improvement that they've got that happen all the time. So this is not about you having people that are selling. This is about you having people that care enough about the customer that they're improving, which is a different thing. It's like we want to constantly be able to actually give a better customer experience. So what's a great customer experience? That a customer gets a result from the products, right? How are they going to get a result from the products? By knowing what are the right products that they should be buying. Like, if someone comes in and they've got the flu and they think they need vitamin C, right? Or they think they're kind of run down, they need vitamin C. Is that actually going to solve the problem? Or is that just one thing amongst other things they should be getting that actually is going to really cure them? And at the end of the day, the true success is not just, oh, we made more sales because people are actually buying from us. It's, hey, here's a success story. So every single week we have on our sessions, we have basically everyone share, what's one thing that's happened that's allowed you to hit your milestones, like what were your milestones? And then also what's one thing that you want to share with people that might be how you can improve what you're doing or where you need help. And finally, what's your customer story? Like everyone, even in the accounts team, tells a customer story. And that just happens on every one of our calls, right? So it's a culture, which is a culture about caring about the customer enough, not selling, right? Because selling means you've got to kind of push something onto a customer, which might not be what they want. Whereas actually supporting the customer by understanding their problem and then actually giving them the best solution will always result in more sales. Because what you're doing is you're not trying to sell products, you're trying to create a buyer, right? And someone will always buy if they know they're actually going to be having their problem solved by you. Plus the compensation, right? After $30 an hour is what's the compensation, right? And if you say, we are going to have, number one, individual, where everyone basically that gets above a certain amount, where you actually say, refer the extra ones in, we're going to give you 10% of that. And at the same time, we've got a profitable target we're going to reach. And if we reach that for the whole company, well, then everyone gets a share in that. Right. And so you're going to find the people that actually say, I want to get paid more money now, and I'm actually solving problems, and I've got better customer stories coming. They're going to be the ones that you're going to be able to actually, shine a light on. The ones that have no customer stories because they're not speaking to the customer and they think it's evil to make money, they won't last in the business, right? And you just change that culture because it's not about the selling, it's about the serving the customer, which is a totally different thing. And you can't serve the customer by selling nothing. So, and I know this is easier said than done, but it is about that shift. And most importantly, you're probably going to decide some of the people just are the wrong people in the first place. You get to choose who's going to work in your company. So you should never be in a situation where you're the victim to your staff, which is really important as well. Don't let the tail wag the dog. You set the standard of the culture and then you go from there. For Yellow to Green, that's everything we're talking about right now. But I do want to talk about the second thing at the moment as well for Renske. Well, the first one is make sure you've got your own team separate for Papoose Toys. Right, that's like who's going to be leading Papoose Toys that you're going to go speak with separately, and when are you carving time out when you're not even in Colors of Australia? Maybe it's a Friday, right? Maybe it's Thursday afternoon where you're saying and physically move somewhere else. Don't even be in the same office. Create a new space somewhere. Maybe it's at a Starbucks, right? But somewhere outside of the office, which is where Papoose Toys grows as a separate business. Because if you don't do that, you'll always get sucked back into the existing business. Financially, on this side, really super duper important. I definitely recommend that you guys speak to, that Renske, you speak to Jeremy. So they've got a virtual CFO service. So this is CFO Grow. So this is Jeremy and Deborah, right? Sorry, I did it wrong. It's Grow CFO, wrong. Grow CFO Co. And they basically are able to strategically look and put your plan together financially to say, here's how you actually improve your cash flow, right? Like at the moment, you're not tracking it. You're paying for things, and then you're having to wait for the sales to come in. Here's how you renegotiate with your suppliers so that you can actually be paying later. Here's how you can get bridging loans to make sure that you've actually got yourself covered on that number as well. And here's how you set different policies for people paying you, where you say, right, you have to pay it this particular way, and then as a result, people will pay you up front for things. You'll change your cash flow massively. They've got 7 levers they use to change your cash flow massively to then allow you to grow. And this is the number one way you'll weather any kind of issue of affordability or crashes in stock markets, because basically it's about your cash flow. The companies that actually will go under are the ones that basically have not managed their cash flow well, right? And so as a result, they get stuck with too much stock. They get stuck having bought stuff, expecting things to grow, and then people don't buy anymore. Whereas if you actually are doing it much more just in time and much smarter, and you don't have to figure it all out for yourself, they can actually walk through with you and actually show you how you can do this. But really super important to be doing that right now, right? So I'm just going to put here's Jeremy and Deborah, so you can connect up with them. There you go. All right. And final thing, and I'm going to come back to everyone to be able to share whatever's biggest thing coming out of this for you, is coming back to Yawen, branding. So, I mean, Hoya, you could use Hoya, but it doesn't at this point say necessarily what it is that you're doing that's actually allowing someone to actually have better wellness, to have better, a better life in terms of who they are, of what they're becoming. So, for example, if I was to say right now, is there a way that I could find really great, because you like adult diapers, things like that, if you actually say, is there a wellness company for those who are getting older, right? It's who are the people that are doing that, right? Bonus programs, senior living communities. Here we go, active age, right? So this is where you've actually got, let me go to a different one, wrong one. Older consumers, refining health, and, you've got all these different people want a solution for aging population. And if we actually say, what's for aging, and we're looking for, or it's for seniors, and we're looking for the best companies, and we say, what are the companies that do this? Right, and you're going to find that there's people out there that actually, there's already from Singapore, Workplace Wellness, right? Different people doing this in this wellness group where people are doing this and actually doing a really good job of it. And you're looking for who are the companies out there that are doing awesome things. What do they look like, right? What kind of things are they actually doing? And then off the back of that, you're choosing your own brand that actually makes you say, this is what it's all about wellness, which is what you said. But I think you are focusing more at the senior market to begin with. You want to be the number one in the senior market to be able to do this as well. And so it's about you actually saying, well, how do I actually make sure that we're actually creating, something which is a brand that speaks to our market, right? You could, if you wanted to, you could call it Power Age, right? If you wanted to you could call it Silver Power, right? If you were to do something like that, right? For example, right? Let me just say, because the silver population is really about your population. It's like 50 and over, right? If you were to call it Silver Power, for example, and you can change the name if you want to, and you had in there Power Mind, right? Which is your whole, right? If you had in there Power Spirit, right? If you had in there Power Heart, or even Power Sleep, you get the idea. You can start creating product brands off the back of a brand, which allows you to then actually get people to go, oh, it's all part of that same thing. And then you can partner with different people to do that as well. But it's so super important to actually be thinking, what is it I'm developing which allows someone to go, yeah, I want to be part of this, right? I want to be part of something where I actually realize I've got the power. There's lots of good things I can do with my life still. I'm going to go out there and I'm actually going to be involved in things. You could have Power Education, right? Or Power School, right? All things that actually can link in with this as well. So it's about you really thinking, what's the brand? Coming back to what I said here, all about capital. And then that then is the next step to then grow forward. Shift your center of gravity into what you're going to be stepping into. And with someone like Renske, she could be working with some of her center of gravity for some of the week in Colors of Australia, but then it's about the spot where she becomes Superman during the Papoose Toys time, when she can start thinking clearly about the next thing, but you have to carve out the team and the time to make that happen, right? So you could always know where's your center of gravity or center of power. Your center of power is always defined by where is your team and where is your time. Right? And if your team and time is totally in the old stuff, then don't be surprised if in 6 months' time you're still trying to figure out how to make the transition. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to give everyone a chance to share whatever was the biggest thing. We covered quite a lot of this call. What was the biggest thing out of this call for you? I'll go in the same order. So I'll start with you, Yawen.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. After this, do you think should I separate the two companies for adult diapers, plywood, and sleeping? I feel it's all different. So maybe I should make another new one for adult diaper or sleeping device.
Yeah, because the thing is, these are all products, right? Whereas what you're doing is you're creating a product, or you're creating a company which is solving a problem, right? And the fact that that company that's solving a problem can have partnerships with other companies, right? It can have a partnership with PowerMind. It can have partnership with Hoya. It can have partnership with other companies that have products. But it's actually, people are going to then relate much more to this company in the same way that right now, Papoose Toys, has got partnership with Colors of Mind, Colors of Australia, but it's actually still like its next level. Like Genius U has got partnership with Entrepreneurs Institute or Entrepreneur Resource, but Genius U is its own company that's growing and is already much bigger than Entrepreneurs Institute was. And Entrepreneurs Institute was the main company a few years ago. So the answer is yes. At the moment, the brand doesn't speak to the customer in a way that they understand. Yeah.
I see. Yes, my 50% is plywood, which is very different. So I think I should create another new one for PowerMind.
That's right. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Let's come over to, let's come over to Mary.
Yes, it was fantastic today. Thanks, Roger. Definitely really about the staff and that staff culture, even setting positions, like knowing what their position is. Perhaps, we're trying to get them to do everything and that's not their forte, but even understanding that was a bit of a revelation. And, remunerating them and setting milestones. Like, we haven't really even got into that yet. And so even thinking about what milestones we're setting and remunerating them if they are reaching those, and using their ideas. It's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Fabulous. Okay, very cool. All right, let's come over next to Danette.
Wow, I got so much. Thank you. I am going to work on the identity part, and then I do like the, and I'm going to use some capital letters, and get some stuff, get some assets on my page. I love that. So I'm going to prop some stuff up with that. I'm going to flesh that out, similar to Gabe. Is it Gabe? I think. The wealth dynamics test, and then I'm not sure about that next one. And then I thought about doing the packaging the mastermind, the gem, with me hosting something live in my community here as well. So that I'd already thought about doing. So my question is, I'm thinking about creating system stuff based on customer service, especially for entrepreneurs or small business owners as this market shift comes, so that they keep the customers they have, because we know that serving a customer that you already have is a lot easier than attracting a new one. And so I'm wondering, is the mastermind something? Is that two things, the mastermind and a systems-based program?
It can be the same thing. It can be the same thing, right? You can do it the same. You could even do two masterminds, one for the team and one for the systems if you want to, right? Okay. But you still want to have that kind of next level. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Rensky. Oh, you're still on mute there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. You're right about the stock being an issue, but probably not for the reason that you're saying. It's not that we're overstocked or have no selling stock, but it's that because of the nature of the product, it's actually very hard to keep up in stock for us. So, but it's an issue I need to look at, because it's a bit of a difficult thing for us, because what makes us successful at the moment is the kind of product that we do, which is handmade and it's natural materials. But by nature, it takes time to do this stuff because it is handmade and it is natural. The wood has to dry and, stuff like that. So, but it's also what people want to buy from us. So it's an ongoing sort of difficulty. I do take the point that I need to make time for Papoose Toys as a retail and a separate entity. So definitely as soon as, really from next week when my new staff member comes on board, I will make time separately work on that. So thank you for that.
Fantastic. All right, awesome. Thank you, Renske. Let's come over to Marie.
Hey, thank you. Wow. One question that you didn't answer was about the B1G1. But I really liked what Jeremy and Deb did on their website. And so I'm wondering, do we put something like that right on the book for every...
You totally should. You totally should. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, that's a really straightforward thing. Just put it on there and just decide what you want to give to.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Do you have anything you wanted to share in terms of what you got out of the course?
Teaching a coach how to sell.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's come over to Gabriel.
Well, the clearness of the pathway and probably structuring the last two paths that I have been working on that, and I'm glad that my experience can help others, and that's and the thing about leveraging on the brand, it's I still struggle with the part of being in a non-English speaking English country and having all those issues just to bring you here. But yeah, let's work on bringing you again here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like we've done a lot of things with non-English places. Like I'm actually flying to Taiwan tomorrow, and that's never the issue. I don't think it's really more just a mindset of what you want to achieve this next year or what level you want to play at. I think it's so important. And I don't think we've ever had a situation where when someone's like, right, I'm ready for the next level, that they've regretted it. As far as I know, I can't think of anyone that's got to. It's like, right, I'm ready to go to the next stage. I do a lot of people going, why didn't I do this earlier, right? But like when the opportunity shows up and there's things to step up, like even if it feels a bit scary, the moment you do it and you realize it's not that difficult, it's just a matter of actually moving up the next level, then everything else shifts off the back of that as well. I'll give you one example, right? This happened to me 2 days ago when I basically was looking at, like, I opened Facebook up in the morning. It was like was it 2 days ago? Or was it yesterday? It was yesterday. It was Wednesday. So yesterday, I wake up in the morning and I see that there's a post from someone on Success Resources in Australia where they are now taking Gary Vaynerchuk to 17 cities all over the world. And I'm like, wow, he's got 10,000 people showing up for him in Australia. And I'm like, geez, Gary's message is pretty straightforward, but he just is such a good marketer. He's got 10,000 people showing up, right? And so part of me is thinking, I wonder why I'm going to have 10,000 people showing up. I was like, well, because I'm so busy doing so many other things that I haven't got really focused as much as he has in one thing. But what I did off the back of that is I thought, oh, wait, like that's no excuse, right? I can't give myself that excuse. I'm just too busy doing other things. So what I did is I immediately phoned up Richard Tan, who's the head of Success Resources. I said, hey, Richard, are you in Singapore right now? He goes, yeah, I'm in Singapore. I said, hey, do you want to meet up? He goes, are you free for lunch? 2 hours later, I'm sitting with Richard, sitting down, walking through, saying, hey, what's going on with all this Gary Vaynerchuk stuff? What is he up to? And he's like, oh, yeah, we're growing. We're doing this. I said, have you got a back end? Have you got a system for people? He goes, no, he doesn't have one. So we've got all these people showing up, and then we've got to try and figure out what are we going to sell them and stuff. And I said, well, I've got a whole system, wealth dynamics, all that stuff. And he goes, yeah, I know you do. Maybe we should be doing something together. I said, I think we definitely should. He goes, right, I'm going to have a call with you, with Veronica, who's his wife, with his partner in Australia. Let's get you onto all those stages, and let's actually get you, let's make some money out of this thing, right? That was all within 2 hours of one morning. Now, I could just look at this stuff and go, oh, it'd be nice to be at that level, or you just go out and just take the action, and you'll find that there's already people that want to help you to take you to the next level, right? It's that easy. It's just most of us never take the action in the first place, right? So just leaving that as a thought process for everyone on this call, that is for all of us at all levels that this applies to, including myself. So let's come over to Bonita next.
Unmute.
Hello.
Putting the promotion plan together is huge for me right now. And the big thing that was kind of an aha was you were talking about throwing 100 seeds down and seeing what grows. I'd liken that to I really need to find companies and people to partner with that have to do with the whole athletic community. And I think that's going to be a huge thing.
Absolutely.
So that's part of my promotion plan.
Yeah, fantastic. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for being on the call. Really looking forward to seeing what eventuates in the coming months. And congratulations on all the progress. It's really awesome. we will speak with you all later. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Oh, Roger.
Yes, Yawen?
Yeah. Do you think the fast track that coming to Taiwan is a program that with the content is something that I should recommend to attend?
Definitely. Oh. Yeah, it's this week. It's like this Saturday. You should definitely be there, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will see you in 2 days then. Okay.
Okay. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.